by Clearlake City Council to order. Tonight is December 7th, 2023. It is 6 p.m. I'd like to welcome everyone here to City Hall, to this council meeting, located at 14050 Olympic Drive in Clearlake, California. We will be adhering to our standard meeting rules. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Councilmember Slotin?
Here.
Councilmember Overton?
Here.
Councilmember Kramer?
Here.
Vice Mayor Claffey?
Here.
And Mayor Purdock.
Here. First off tonight, we have, under item E, presentations, is our presentation for December's adoptable dogs. Lieutenant? Oh, I apologize, yeah. I went way down the agenda. Why don't we pledge allegiance? Mr. Slutin, since you reminded me.
You just want to get through this meeting, don't you?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir. If you wouldn't mind, if you'd like to remain standing, I'd like to just offer a little invocation. I like the up and down, get your blood flowing again. It's good exercise. Anyway, we come together in this season, and I would just like to offer a little blessing. Our Father in heaven, we are so grateful for the many wonderful people here tonight, for the glorious people that work so hard in our town and our city to make it the wonderful place that it is to live. We are so grateful and blessed to be in this place. We are so grateful to you, our honorable maker and creator. Father, we ask for a blessing on this meeting, that we will be able to lead and make decisions with your wisdom and your guidance. We ask for all to be safe this holiday season, and we ask for peace through this world. Father, thank you so much for your many blessings that you so graciously pour upon us. We say this in the name of the Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. Amen. Now I'm back on track. Sorry, Councilmember Overton, I wasn't trying for the shortest meeting. Now, Lieutenant, can we see those adoptable dogs?
Have to adopt the agenda.
After the adoption of the agenda. Wow.
I so move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion by Councilmember Overton and a second by Vice Mayor Claffey. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Now, let's try the adoptable dog presentation and get those dogs some homes.
Hello, this month's adoptable dog is Brutus. He is a 4-year-old pit bull mix. Brutus is a huge cuddle dog and loves to give hugs. As you can see, he is very affectionate and even smiles with his teeth. He thinks he's a huge lap dog. Brutus is very good on leash and likes his long, steady walks with volunteers. Although we are unsure of how he is with kitties, Brutus would love to have a dog friend. He is neutered, microchipped, and up to date on all vaccines, and he can't wait to meet you. Please come by the shelter to see all of the other amazing dogs we have for adoption. We are located at 6820 Old Highway.
Brutus is in great room.
We're open 9 to 6 every day.
Too cute. Thank you very much. Lieutenant? That was wonderful. Thank you.
All right. Good evening.
Good evening.
So our current shelter count is 59 dogs. That is 47 large dogs and 12 puppies. There's one kitten there. Sometimes people like cats. That's all the cats we have. Intake today is 229 dogs came in the shelter. 172 have left the shelter, which is 72 have been rescued, 78 returned to owner, 43 adopted, 1 has been euthanized around the year, and 6 were lost with shelter care. And 96% release rate.
Thank you, Lieutenant Peterson. Very good. Now moving on to item E2, presentation for Employees' Years of Service Awards and Certificates of Appreciation to our amazing volunteers. Mr. Flora, would you like to join me at the stand?
You can some down.
I think I got it. You get it next year. This is a very important time, I think. Anytime we get to honor people who have worked and served our community as servant leaders, as members of our community, people who come in and visit, they have special needs, they have families that they want to share our community with, and we're just so grateful for the great men and women who work and serve for the city of Clearlake, and this is a chance we get to recognize them for their years of dedicated service. So the first, I'd like to introduce our city manager, Alan Flora, who's going to offer our first recipient his pin.
Chief? Well, Chief Hobbs is here to receive his 20-year, I guess, certificate. 20 years is a long time. Chief Hobbs has spent his whole law enforcement career here with the city of Clearlake. I think he's done pretty much everything in the organization, including cleaning kennels at the animal shelter, which was not in his job description. So,
Other duties as a sign.
yeah. So, you know, I just want to say I'm really proud of the service that you've given the city. It's been almost a year now that you've been chief, and I know that we all had a lot of confidence in you stepping into this role, but I think I can speak for all the council members as well. We've been impressed beyond what we even expected with your service and ingenuity in sort of being creative in solving crime and public safety problems in the city. So thank you so much. I look forward to being here to congratulate you on your 25th and 30th year as well. So.
Yay.
Photo op.
Sergeant Trevor Franklin. Tonight he's going to get his 10-year award. He's been with us for quite a long time. He's done several roles. He started out as an officer, he became an FTO, and then later detective, and earlier this year he was promoted to sergeant. He's been beneficial in a lot of cases and helping do things within the department, training new employees. We're very appreciative that he is working with us, and we hope he continues to stay here, do a good job with us, and move up and keep getting these service awards. So congratulations. Next, if we could have Taylor Eagle come on up, please.
This is Taylor Eagle. She's going to be receiving her 5-year award. Taylor is a local graduate from Middletown High School. She grew up in the community. She's become one of our senior dispatchers in a short time frame. We've come to rely upon her for various different assignments, and she's definitely a team player within the unit. She always has a positive attitude. As you can see, she's got a big smile on her face.
Eric Copas, if you come up, please.
Business Code Enforcement Officer Garrett Copus. He's been with us for 5 years now. he has really become vital for part of our code enforcement team. Some things I've been really impressed with him is his awareness. He even helps out patrol. He'll get an alert of a stolen vehicle, and he'll be behind it and keep an eye on it until the officers get there. He relays good traffic. Really vital, and code enforcement is kind of not really thought upon about how important it is for our community, but for those who remember when we didn't have code enforcement, what this city looked like, and I couldn't be more proud of Officer Copus and the rest of my team.
Stephen Diaz. Next is Officer Stephen Diaz. He's been with us for 5 years. He came to us from the Fresno area after graduating the police academy. He's done a great job since he started here. He has a very positive attitude, a very high initiative. He likes to get out there and do a lot of work, stay proactive out there helping the community. Started as an officer. He's currently an FTO, so he trains some of the new officers. Well, all the new officers we get, he's part of the training program for them. He's doing great work, and we're glad he's chosen to work with us and stay working there.
All right, so I'm covering both the Eagles today here. This is Daniel Eagle. He's been with us 5 years. This is the husband. Daniel, I'm actually really proud of Daniel. When I was a younger officer, Daniel was in the local schools, and he really wanted a career in law enforcement. So he used to come down and do ride-alongs with us all the time, go on different events, generally showed an interest in the community, different activities. He went away to college. He's a real avid golfer. I wouldn't golf against him if I was him. And he decided to come back to Lake County, specifically to Clearlake Police Department, and applied with our agency. He's a canine handler. He's part of our FTO program. He's been integral in various vehicle type incidents, sideshows, and addressing some of the new issues for law enforcement. He received his medal award for over 25 DUI arrests in a 1-year period. And he received an award in Sacramento, correct? Yeah. Just this year in July. So this is Officer Daniel Lee.
I want to add one thing on Officer Eagle. Lieutenant Snyder mentioned about he came and did a lot of ride-alongs. Before he was employed here, I think a lot is an understatement. He did more ride-alongs than I would say he maybe was considered a full-time employee. He showed his dedication and commitment to wanting to work here.
Get in there, Mayor. This is your last hurrah for the year, anyway. Hey.
He's a maintenance worker with the Public Works Department. He's been with us for 5 years. He's a great asset to our organization. He brings things to our attention when we need to.
If anybody can hear her.
Oh, so many more years with you.
She needs not talking.
All right, the last service award I get to present to one of our newer employees. Have a few things written down, a couple of pages. Mr. Alan Flora, please come forward. Alan came to our fine city about 5 years ago. We were very lucky to have him. He's been doing a fantastic job. It's real easy to serve on city council when you've got such a dynamic leader as Alan, someone with vision and a foresight and vision for the many things that we've seen improvements through our city, as well as in planning, and we just couldn't be happier to have you on the team. I did ask Ms. Swanson for this, just to kind of go over a few things, you know, starting with your college, but I think we'd be here till about 10 or 11 o'clock if I did went through all these things and all your accomplishments. Alan has served not only here, but at Lake County and Mendocino County. He's well recognized within those communities as a leader and someone who's really done some fantastic things. I truly hope and pray that you will be with us for many years to come. And we thank you very much for your service.
Hey, wait a minute, picture. You thought you were gonna get out of it.
Now, get that back. We have some volunteers. Who can help me with the volunteer presentations? Get back up here. If I hand you the folders, can you bring them up?
Casper Moore.
I don't see a chance to read that. Ross? Ross here?
Ross Bartow. Ross not here.
John?
John Glenn.
Come on up, John. Dorothy Turner? Let's just bring them all up.
Bring them all up.
Dorothy Turner? Mike Bello? Turner? Johnny Gerber? Buddy Carter, don't see Buddy here.
You want to stand in, Robert? Nope.
Marty Foltz? Elizabeth Kelly? And Gary Locatelli. They're probably exhausted from all the hours they've been volunteering for us here at the city of Clearlake. If you don't mind, I would just like to say thank you so much from all of us on city council for the number of hours that you served our community as a volunteer. It says so much. It's what makes our country great, makes our community great. So thank you very much for your service.
Briefly, I just want to add thank you to John and Tara for helping out. You guys, especially at nighttime, events where we don't have much notice, you're our go-to people, and almost every time you're able to come and help us out, we sincerely appreciate it. It saves us a lot of time and free up officers to go to college, do other things, and it's really great to help us out. So, we're good, and thank you again.
Thank you. I think Miss Kristen here. Russ, you missed her. I think she was like the last lady, like 2 or 3. Couple down there. You guys missed her thing.
Are you Carol?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Come on back up.
Climb over those chairs again.
There should be a Barbara Bigman in there too.
You want to take one for Barbara then?
No, she's here.
Oh, she's here. I didn't see Barbara.
Where's Barbara?
She should have been.
We want to get this right. You guys keep going, I'll be right with you.
I don't remember you calling her Barbara, but
You need to add that on. Thank you for letting us
Barbara,
know.
we'll have to get that to you.
So before we all stand down, volunteering is a very important part of our community, very important part of our city. Chief Allen, are there volunteer positions currently available, openings available here at the city? And what do volunteers typically do? Put you on the spot.
Yeah, the police department mainly uses volunteers. I mean, I think there are also some, we aren't running the animal shelter now, but that's a place where I think we could use additional volunteers and help, certainly be having, help coordinate that, with animal services. Beyond that, I don't think we really have any other existing positions, but I think Chief Ops is always looking for folks to help us with PIC.
Yeah, we have lots of things we can use help in, from doing traffic control at different special events or coming out to a location and helping block traffic for a traffic collision that's going to be extended time period, different various tasks around the office. We're always looking for volunteers, for people that want to help out, dedicate a little time to the community. If you know anyone that's interested, please refer them to us, have them come down here, call us, talk to us, something we can use everybody's help.
Great.
That's the story. If there's something you're passionate about, come see us. I'm sure we can feel it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. All right, moving on to item F, public comment. Public comment is a time for anyone wanting to speak to the city council or our staff on an item not currently on tonight's agenda. So if you would like to introduce yourself, tell us where you live, you're welcome to have the microphone for 3 minutes. We cannot respond or answer any of your questions because this is a non-agended item. The Brown Act prohibits us from doing that. So if there's someone who would like to address the city council this time, the microphone is yours. Please come forward. Very well. Madam Clerk, is there anyone on Zoom who would like to participate in public comment?
There are no hands raised on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Moving on then to item G, the consent agenda. Does anyone want to hear an item, have it pulled? Seeing none, may I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, there's one thing, I think you could probably leave it on the consent agenda with an amendment. There's a item for holiday office closures, and we historically close the week between Christmas and New Year's. In discussing this just earlier today, so the first of the year is on Monday. The City Hall renovation should be done and we'll be ready to move in. So our plan now is to stay closed Tuesday the 2nd as well, and that's when we'll actually do the transition back over here. So if the council's okay with that amendment to the holiday closure schedule, you could adopt the consent calendar as presented otherwise.
Thank you for that update, Mr. Flora. Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the consent agenda and item 9 of the agenda to add January 2nd as the city hall closure.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion by Councilmember Slotin and a second by Councilmember Kramer. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And are we voting? We are.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Thank you all very much. Moving on now to business. Item 10, discussion and consideration of a memorandum of understanding between the Elam Indian Colony regarding development of a travel center in the city of Clearlake. Mr. Flora.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, council members, so I'm pleased to present this memorandum of agreement for your consideration tonight. I'll give a little bit of history of this project and then address any questions you may have. And then I believe the tribe also wants to give a little presentation about the project and address questions as well. So back in 2019, the tribe purchased the property you're familiar with as used to be Silks, or the old folks, a property for a project, and purchased that from the receiver. In 2021, Elam officially submitted an application to the Bureau of Indian Affairs regarding the project and requested the property be put into federal trust. The council is probably aware this is a process for a federally recognized tribe to take property in what we, I guess, say normal ownership, we call fee title, and if it's put into trust and it's held by the federal government for the tribe, and it becomes the tribe's, sovereign land. And so through that process, the tribe reached out to us. We met with them, got an overview of the project. We identified a number of concerns that we had on possible impacts on other businesses in the community. And we had a number of conversations with the tribe about that. The Bureau of Indian Affairs and Elam revised the environmental assessment at the time. And then that came back in the earlier part of this year. And the Bureau of Indian Affairs made the decision to approve the project and place the property into trust for Elam. So, I mentioned that we've had a number of conversations. In this type of a process, the city has essentially no jurisdiction, over that sovereign land. And in spite of that, we've developed what I believe is a very strong relationship with the Elam tribe. And, they still came to us and wanted to address the concerns that we had about the project and how it might impact city operations. And so the result of those discussions is the agreement that's before you tonight. And, I believe that Elam has really responded in a very positive and collaborative way in addressing those concerns. So I won't go too much into the project. I'm sure, we'll see more about that, but it's approximately a 1-acre site, which will include a convenience store, office space, and then a gas station, convenience store there. So I want to point out that the memorandum of agreement does not approve the project. That's already happening now. But just to kind of go through some of the key points of the agreement. So with trust land, there's no taxes paid by the tribe as a normal business on a fee simple property. But the tribe has agreed to pay an equal amount of what they would pay as a business for our Measure P, and which is police department sales tax, and Measure V, which is the road sales tax in the city. In addition to that, the standard discretionary sales tax, or Bradley Burns we call it, pays 60% of that total initially, increasing by 10% a year until it reaches 100%. They are doing everything they can for the project to be consistent with city ordinances and plans. We have the Lakeshore Drive design project there, so our engineers are sharing information so that, it's cohesive and works into that project, which is great. While we have no regulatory authority over it, they have agreed to share their plans with us so that we can provide feedback on on the plans. We won't be issuing actually a permit to them, but appreciate that. The Clearlake Police Department will provide law enforcement services to the property until such time when the tribe desires to develop their own tribal police department. I know one thing that's important to the council that we talked to the tribe about is just tobacco use and flavored tobacco in particular. There's a new state law about that. And while they have no obligation to do so, they agreed to abide by the flavored tobacco ban that was adopted by the voters at that property. And then the final couple of things, they have agreed to establish a public benefit fund with initial grant amount of $100,000 to assist with community projects. They have asked that there be 2 city representatives and 2 tribal representatives, essentially be a committee to review and approve the funding of those projects. And then, as their business develops, they would potentially put additional funds into that in the future. And then finally, they've asked to participate with them in an advisory committee, which would also have 2 representatives from the tribe and from the city that would just discuss common issues quarterly and work through any issues that may come up. So, I just have to say that really from the beginning, really appreciated the relationship, the tribal council, Chairman Garcia, Jack Duran, who's their counsel. It's been a very positive working relationship. We understand that we have different perspectives, don't always agree on that, but we can look each other in the eye and have the conversation. And I'm really proud of the point that we've came together here tonight. So with that, that's kind of my overview. I can address any questions. Perhaps you want to just invite the tribe to come up and share some information with you first, though.
Thank you. Any questions for our staff?
Just one little, in the documentation, the aerial map that's attached includes the adjacent Taco Bell, or what used to be a Taco Bell shop, so you might want to look at that. The assessor's numbers are correct, it's just that little aerial map is incorrect. That's all. I'll reserve any comment later on.
Thank you, Councilmember Slotin. If the tribal chair would like, or Mr. Jack, if you'd like to come and introduce, we'd love to meet you.
Great. Thank you very much, Council, for allowing the tribe to come and provide some commentary on the proposed project. As Alan said, the tribe has worked very good and judiciously to understand the city's concerns and the city's vision for the future. And one of the first things that Alan did when we started talking about how this project was going to roll out was provide us a very detailed visioning document, and I forget what the name of that document was. The tribe took that document and gave it to our consultants to make sure whatever we did would kind of be in lockstep with that vision for that particular area. So it was very important for the tribe to want to make sure that whatever happened on that piece of property was going to be consistent with what the city visioned in the future. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Chairman Augustine Garcia. And then after that, we'll actually have some folks that are going to show you some slides of what we anticipate to bring to the community. Mr. Garcia, thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So hello and thank you for this opportunity to speak on this action item tonight. My name is Augustine Garcia. I am presently the chairman for the Elam Indian Colony located in Clearlake Oaks. I've been chairman now for about 8 years, and it gives me a great pleasure to be here working with the city. I grew up here. I left here probably in like 1995, 1996 when my family relocated to Calistoga. So to come back into this community and be able to work with you guys as a tribe is monumental to me. It means so much. So with that said, I'm going to talk a little bit about our tribe, where we came from, and what our plan is and our vision with this project itself. So as you are aware, Elam Indian Colony is a historic tribe in Lake County and in the city of Clearlake. Our tribe currently has trust lands located in Clearlake Oaks, But we also claim aboriginal territory here within the city because our sites moved around. We weren't located just in one area. You know, whether we were harvesting fish or other animals, we kind of just moved from one area to another. So we believe this to be our ancestral territory as well. So as you are aware, our current reservation, which is located in Clearlake Oaks, is next to a mining company, a Superfund site that has impacted and devastated our people for many, many years. And that's one of the reasons that we don't have economic development out there. It's so hard to build something on contaminated land when it puts your people at further risk for exposure. You know, as you're moving dirt, you're digging down into that ground. So, you know, we sought out other lands. We made a choice to purchase this property here in the city of Clearlake. And, you know, we kind of understood that there was going to be a risk, but, you know, it was worth the squeeze, as they say. So we took a chance. We bought the property. We went through the process of putting it in trust. We met Alan. We began the negotiations, you know, kind of just putting our foot in the water, testing it, see what it was going to be like. And as he mentioned, we had a great, you know, experience working with him, and we just feel like everything fell into place. And so this MOU tonight, you know, as he's highlighted in there, we want to settle whatever notion that you have that we're just going to be one of these tribes that's going to come in, develop this site, and not work with you guys. That's not going to happen. We've agreed this MOU nails down everything that we are stating here today that we're going to comply with. And so I just feel like it's a great stepping stone because we plan to invest in the city and we're going to be around for a while. You know, we want to help develop this area, build it back up to what it was. You know, so if you have any concerns, please look it over. Any grievances, let us know, but I think it's a great starting point. And so I don't know if you guys have any other questions, but I believe the MOU speaks for itself.
Anyone have questions for Mr. Garcia? Thank you very much, sir. Who else would you like us to meet?
Is there anybody else? Oh, yeah. Go ahead. April, do you want to come up and say hello?
Oh, I'll just say.
Why don't you go ahead and introduce the rest of the EC?
Come on, April, you're among friends.
So this is April Popadich. She is the vice chair for the Elam Indian Colony. And then we also have Sarah Garcia, my mother, who is the secretary treasurer for Elam. And so, yeah, they're part of the board as well, and they were part of all the decision-making in order for us to move forward with the C-store.
Okay, we look very forward to building Clearlake, like Augustine said. It was a wonderful, wonderful place, still is, but we can work together. We're always welcome to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you for letting us speak tonight. I started to travel with my father when I was 16. He was always involved in trying to develop our community. Way back in the late 60s and the early 70s. I don't know if you know all of our history, but we didn't get electricity over there until 1965, and we didn't get running water until 1973. But I enjoyed going with my father because it set me up for the future. He let me know that my life would be one to serve my community and the community at large. And so it's really a dream, I think, for what's happening. Now, I've been on the council since I was 21, okay? I always held the position, I always held the secretary-treasurer position forever. And so I am really thrilled. I am so thrilled over our new clinic. That was the #1 realized dream. And then now this is the second one. Now I can begin to think about retiring and let the younger generation move forward. But thank you.
Good luck with that. As a treasurer of many organizations, they won't let you quit.
Yeah, there's only one way out.
And they don't want you to go anyway, so you got to stay.
Well, thank you for letting me speak.
What was your father's name, if I may ask?
Kelvin Brown.
Okay.
Yeah.
I went to school with Cecil and Marvin Brown.
Oh, yes, those are our first cousins, our double first cousins.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
It's wonderful meeting, actually seeing you again. It's been a while. Great to see you again, April.
It's great to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to our consultant, Bluestone Consulting Group, who have a presentation that they would like to show the council.
Thank you very much.
Brett, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, your volume's a little loud. I don't know if that's possible for us to adjust, but feel free to go ahead and just let me know when you're ready to advance the slides.
Okay. First of all, Chairman Garcia, Jack, thank all of you so much for having us this evening. We truly appreciate the time and the effort to be able to present the project and the slides to all of you. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Council, Chief Hobbs, congratulations. Administrative staff, again, thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Chief.
You know, as mentioned before, the total acres is 1.1 acres, and it's located on the corner of Gulf and Lakeshore Drive. We've taken the consideration, we're putting a retaining wall along the back. We're removing some of the trees and creating an environment to where a lot of the homeless will not be able to linger and mingle and mingle around there anymore. We really like the project itself. It's got a description and it's modern mountain design, and I think that lends greatly to the area, and I think it's going to be a great asset to the entire community. There's going to be 20 pumps, 10 dispensing stations, and 20 fuel pumps. We've got specifics of 4 diesel pumps on it, and then the rest are regular fuel pumps. The size of the building is 4,650 square feet. We've got an in-house food facility. We'll be serving sandwiches and salads. We're going to do 4 to 6 electric charging stations for EV vehicles. We're going to have an all-access drive-through for the store. You can come into the store and you can pick up any item through that drive-through window. You don't have to get out of your car to be able to access the items that are in the store. We've got an indoor and outdoor eating area. We have an inclusive C-store with food, beverages, miscellaneous items. The store, we have a tobacco stand, and we'll adhere to all the regulations that California's put forth. We're gonna have a beverage and retail. We're gonna have modern, fresh ground coffee stations, modern and easy to navigate store layout, high ceiling for an open feel, consideration of modern mountain design in all aspects of the project. We're putting solar panels on top of the gas station to be as green as we can possibly be. We've got water, sewer, storm, propane, electric, high-speed capabilities for internet. We're going to have the solar integration and sustainable energy. We've got a contractor lined up already. We've got civil engineers. We've got architects. We're ready to break ground as soon as possible. We've got a timeline. We intend to be finished and completed by January or February of 2025. We really feel that the project has a great intended and a great potential to contribute greatly to the Clearlake Restoration District. We expect tremendous economic benefits for the city and potential for job creations and for local business support. Any questions?
I have one. Is there a boat or a fueling capability on there too? To service the boat ramp and the boats that are being launched at Redbud there? Is that a part of it?
It isn't, but we're still at the stage where we can think through those things. It's a good point to bring up.
That would be something to think through. Councilmember Slotin, are you talking about at the water's edge or?
No, right at that, the people can pull in and
The site is large enough to have multiple large vehicles on it. So if that's what you're talking about, if someone can roll up with a truck and a boat,
right.
I don't think there's going to be a problem with having as it is right now. But that's certainly something that we can talk about and take back to the design crew to make some adjustments to make sure that that happens.
That would be very beneficial for the tournaments and everything that they have.
Well, I think there was, and there are two on each, in each roll, there's 2 pumps, correct?
On either. It's right there.
On either side, yeah. So that's long enough for them to pull in, and I'm assuming you're going to have a pullout on the Golf Road, correct?
Correct.
So they would be able to pull in, get their gas, and then pull onto Golf Road and go do the Redbud Park.
So it wouldn't be a
I think
congestion issue for traffic.
Right. Yeah, so it looks good.
Pull on either side of each pump island, or each pump in there.
You're going to have the long things where it doesn't matter what side you park onto. I love those. I'm sorry, I just love those. I don't have to
Can't
worry
remember
about
what
where
side
I
her
park.
gas tank's on.
It is, it's so nice to have those. Those are just awesome. So it's like, that is beautiful.
That looks beautiful. Thank you. Any other questions?
So is there, just to clarify, and on the photo, it's really not that clear, but is there 5 different lines or 6?
5.
There's 5.
Okay.
So you total have.
Now, one nearest, I couldn't tell whether there's one behind it or.
So as we're looking at.
10 pumps? 10?
10 pumps.
Okay, that answers the question.
And then the charging stations are.
Charging stations, yeah, we discussed locating those closest to where the vehicles are right there.
Okay, on that side.
Yeah, on that side there.
That makes sense.
So, knowing the site very well, I'm curious, which, would we be looking, is this like the Gulf Road
Yes.
side? So Lakeshore Drive would actually be in the park there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Lakeshore Drive would actually be, Golf would be here.
Uh-huh.
Lakeshore Drive would be going on the outside.
Where all those
Right.
trees are that aren't there.
Right. Thanks, just need to get that visual. Thank you very
Can we
much.
make those trees in the back in the grass, though? That looks really nice.
Yeah, if you had an overhead view or layout drawing, that would probably answer those questions. Showing the.
You hear that, Bluestone? We need an overhead.
Site plan.
Site plan, site plan is.
Yeah.
Trayson, can you put one up for them, please?
Yeah, because I think we have.
Oh, you have a
Yeah, I
site
thought
plan.
they had one.
I think we do, Jack.
Okay.
No, we're just excited.
Well, good, well, good.
Just excited to see the development there, and it'll really help that park area, I think, to thrive.
Good.
We're excited to have a partnership with the Elam Tribe.
Excellent, excellent, great. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate your review and working with the tribe, with your staff. That's all been extremely helpful, and my client's looking forward to a good relationship moving forward. So,
Thank you, sir. Any other questions?
I don't have a question, I have just a comment here.
Sure.
We really appreciate the collaborative effort to get this project off the ground. It's a good thing for both, so we really appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, well, at this time, I'd like to offer anyone who would like to speak on this item, please come to the podium and share your thoughts. This is the time. Anyone want to make public comment on this agenda item? Please come forward.
I'm Cheryl Allman in Clearlake. I just want to thank you for participating with us and let you know that I'm a native, but I'm not a California native. But I think just seeing relationships grow, and I want to welcome you for all of the people I know in Clearlake City, which is a lot, and you can be assured we are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Allman. Anyone else wishing to comment on this? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, anyone on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. I'll bring it back to council for action.
I have one comment, Mr.
Oh,
Mayor.
that's right.
Thank you. Thank you for investing in our shared community. Even if we didn't have an agreement, that investment alone means so much to the people here. The visuals are stunning. I'm going to try to get Mr. Flora to include, what was it, Mountain Modern as the next City Hall design style. But again, thank you so much.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the MOA between the Elam Colony, Indian, let me get this right. Between the Elam Indian Colony and the city of Clear Lake and I'm going to move again, and authorize the city manager to sign the memorandum of agreement, and additionally authorize the city manager to provide letters of support as requested in the agreement.
I have a motion by Councilmember Kramer and a second by Councilmember Overton. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It's looking pretty good so far. There you go.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to request maybe a brief recess so we could shoot a couple
I think
pictures
that
with
is
the
a fine
train.
idea. We stand in recess for 5 minutes.
Done.
I hope you don't get tongue-tied like I was tonight.
We actually take possession of 26. Yeah. We're retaining the staff. So we had dinner tonight. So how did we are going to retire? Like Maria's sister is going to manage us. Yeah. Yeah, we'll take possession of 26. We'll keep it going. Like a year, we may just give a little bit of yeah. We know what it is. Yeah. Basically,
Probably on the outside, yeah.
I'll call her, so wherever you guys That's what we need
Ryan, you've had it too easy. Tonight, right?
All right, if I can bring it back to order. We are reconvened at 6:57, and we will be on item 11, consideration of a summary vacation of an irrevocable dedication of a roadway and public utility easement as part of an existing subdivision as requested by Mitchell and Patricia Markowitz. Ms.
Thank you,
Addy.
Mr. Mayor. Council members.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll give the presentation, just quick background on it. Yes, the property owners have initiated the vacation of the roadway and easement, and it's in light of a merger that they are processing right now. Obviously, with the merger and it becoming one lot, the roadway easement and utility easement is obviously not appropriate for the parcel map. So I'm just going to do some quick visuals, just give you some orientation, and we'll sum it up after that. And if you have any questions, happy to answer them.
Thank you, sir.
Mike Taylor.
Bear with me a minute here. Let's see.
All right, sir.
Okay, so what we're looking at here is obviously an aerial. The Markowitz owned several parcels in this particular area of Lake.
Yeah, we don't have anything up, so.
Sorry about that. We're trying to get the share to work. So what's going on here? No, there we go.
There we go.
Okay, so as you can see, this is an area of the area of the parcels. I'll go ahead and highlight the areas that they actually are looking to merge, which includes additional parcels beyond the parcel map. Ooh, let's see here. Should have had
So is that essentially a paper street going through their property? Oops.
Yeah, hold on. Sorry about that. It was just this really touchy. Yeah, something's going on here, Mark. Can you help me out? There's Markowitz. Somehow it came down there. Can you get that up there? Okay, so here we go. That's good, Mark. So this shows the parcels that the Markowitz owns. That is the parcel map that we're asking for the vacation of the easements and roadway. And this is the location of the easement and roadway.
So essentially a little cul-de-sac there?
It's a little cul-de-sac, so with the merger, then, yes, all of that would become a full.
Very good.
Full lot.
Sir, what are the name of this, what's the street in the cross street there?
Lakeview at the bottom, Jones Avenue is on the left side, going up towards the cul-de-sac.
And that cul-de-sac would have accessed those 4 parcels that apparently they did a split on some years ago. And
Yeah, so it was in 1986 that the parcel map was recorded, and it included 4 parcels plus the easement and roadway.
Okay.
Now, Mr. Markowitz just wants to make those 4 parcels back into one.
Yes,
Plus the
so
other ones.
that's correct. Yeah, they want to merge those 4 parcels with the additional 2 in the yellow.
Okay.
Gotcha.
See the pink, the pink on the left side that's remaining,
Yes.
is,
Part of the roadway.
would not be vacated as part of this action in order to provide the property to the north access along
Right.
Joe.
Still a roadway. Councilmember Slotin, you have a question?
Yeah, are there any utilities located within that existing easement?
There are no utilities located in the easement in the cul-de-sac or the roadway. There's no improvements there at this point in time, according to the mapping that the city of Clearlake has access to. There are utilities going up Jones Avenue on the left, which is on an improved road, and it also serves the parcel that's to the north.
So that area is going to remain a public utility easement?
On the far left, yeah. Jones Avenue going straight up.
Jones will.
Jones is a private street, but that little section of pink there would remain.
But the utilities go up Jones private street and provides utilities to the subject parcels too, or?
Any other questions?
Just a comment, it's being vacated through the street and highway code, so that should be correct.
That's correct.
So do you typically have to, notify or ask any utilities if they have any interest in keeping that easement?
You do have to notify the surrounding neighbors, which we did do.
They haven't commented?
We did have one comment from the neighbor to the north, was concerned about, maintaining the access to her parcel.
Right. Any other questions? Councilmember Overton?
That was my question, because we can't legally block anybody's parcels, so that's not going to happen, correct? Okay, so just.
Very good. Anyone from the public wanting to comment on this item, please come forward. Anyone on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. My final question is, are there any drainage issues or any landscape changes that the owner's looking to make now that we're pulling it all back to one that could be a problem for neighbors?
There hasn't been any indication or request from the property owners for any improvements at this time. What he has expressed is that it was for his kids when in the future when
Gotcha.
he does the inheritance over to them. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, sir. Very good.
Mr. Mayor, are you bringing it back?
I am bringing it back.
Unless there's other comments, I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead, sir.
If there's no other comments, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2023-49 and read by title only, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Clearlake, the summary vacation of an irrevocable dedication of a roadway and public utility easement.
I have a motion by Councilmember Kramer and a second by Councilmember Overton. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving on to item 12, discussion and possible direction related to the cost increases with the Burns Valley Sports Complex project. Mr. Flora.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, council member. So as you know, we've been working on the Burns Valley Sports Complex and Recreation Center project for several years now. We purchased the property at the end of 2020 and immediately started working on the environmental review and design work. Additionally, as you know, the project was stalled out for about a year in an attempt to reach an agreement with the Khoi Nation over mitigation measures as part of the environmental review of that project. That agreement was ultimately never reached. We moved forward with adopting the environmental document, and they initiated litigation over the project, and that's still ongoing. So the problem we're facing now with the continual delays is just a lot of increases in costs. So we have been successful in acquiring a number of grants. When we first started down this process, our estimates, we were expecting around $8 to a little over $8 million. We were able to put $9 million through grants, our own funds, contributions from Lake County Tribal Health, Canoctown Unified School District. There's a grant from the state of California and federal government in there. But, so with the environmental done, we've been still continuing with completion of the construction document. So a couple of weeks ago, we received 60% plans and an updated cost estimate at that point, which unfortunately came in at $18.7 million. So that's a very significant gap, and over twice as much as what we have available. And we're still going to have to play out the litigation and see, but it's going to take both, I think, cost reductions in the project as well as identifying additional funding to move the project forward. Of course, the council could make a decision to abandon the whole thing, but I think you believe, as I do, that this is a critical project for the future of the city and the larger region as well, and we really need to figure this out. So tonight, I'm not asking to solve all the problems, but I wanted to make sure the council was aware of this. We need to come up with any ideas we can over the coming months in where we can identify additional funding. We have some ideas that we're working on. And I think we could go a couple of different ways on some possible cost reductions. The council did establish an advisory committee for this project. My thought was that we would reconvene that group, which had a couple of council members, planning commissioner, and then representatives from various community groups like Little League and soccer and so forth, and kind of talk about some of those things. I mean, for example, just the electrical and lighting component of this project is estimated at $6 million. And so, some of this is basic infrastructure that, we can't eliminate. Now, this is high-end lighting system, which eliminates almost any glare for the neighborhood, and is what we really would like to have. But those are the type of discussions that we need to come to some resolution on. The soccer field is proposes artificial turf. That's more expensive than just doing sod. Is that something that we really want? And so, I don't know, this is, again, we're not going to solve it overnight. I wanted to raise this, get any kind of feedback from the council on suggestions moving forward. I would request that council members talk to our state representatives and others about possible additional funding that they may be able to bring together. We have gotten the indication that we may get some additional federal funds. It was supposed, I should have pointed out this $18.7 million does not include the recreation center. That's going to be an additional 12 to 15 million, okay? We had been given indication that we likely will get some funds for the recreation center, and we're trying to negotiate and see if we'll be able to instead use that for the sort of first phase of this project, so that we can get started. You know, the plan as of a month ago was to complete these plans sometime in January, put this project out to bid. Hopefully the litigation would be resolved by that time and we'll be able to move forward. But at this point, there's going to be additional delays. So that's my very uplifting presentation.
Thank you for ruining the Christmas season.
Yeah.
Such a good mood, couldn't you? You waited till January for this bad news?
Councilmember
I always
Sloat-
believe that bad news is best delivered quickly, so.
Councilmember Slotin.
How confident are you in is that 18.7 million, is that from the design group that does that? And how confident are you?
Well,
Because it seems going from 9 million to double that in a year and a half, either the first one was way off or this one is way off. One of them is not right.
Well, yes, I agree with that statement. I wish I didn't have very much confidence in this, and I've looked for ways to poke some holes in it. I mean, here's what I know. I mean, I went through every line of the cost estimate, compared it to recent projects that we've done, other communities have done. The unit prices and other things seem quite comparable. I mean, one thing that is I think points to there being a lot of accuracy in this. This is the same design firm that just did the Lakeport Park project that was just completed. And same group, so they have, all the cost estimates from that project. Now, one thing that, we found with some of our road projects is large projects often receive savings in unit prices. This project is much, much larger than the Lakeport project. But things continue to increase. I mean, the bathroom building, well, there's 2 bathroom buildings associated with our project. We have one almost identical to the one in the new park in Lakeport. It's $800,000 just for the unit. And, I don't think that I don't think it's as far off as we would like it to be. I mean, it's possible that, it's going to come down a little bit if we bid at the right time. It is a bigger project. We're probably going to get, some of the bigger contractors, and we've had success in that. But, I mean, it's not off by $10 million.
Thanks, sir.
Every million helps, so.
Councilmember Overton?
And I know this is just a thought, it's like, okay, so this all originated like where we want to move the baseball fields and everything. Is there a way to do partial project while we wait for money to finish it out, or is that a feasible thing to do? I mean, because I think all our concerns at first was the baseball fields and the soccer fields. Then all this other stuff kind of came into play, that we want all this stuff, of course, but is there a way to do the project in stages and actually utilize it while we're waiting for other money?
I think the answer is yes. I don't know if we're going to like those alternatives, but I mean, a lot of the cost is really the basic infrastructure. Now, if you went and said, well, right now we're not going to put any lighting in, we could probably, like the field lighting, I mean, you could cut off maybe $2.5–3 million. But, it doesn't make sense to not put at least the basic infrastructure in so that we could add lights later, and, that's where a lot of the cost is. So, I mean, it's worth considering, do we not build out the soccer field or something like that right now? But, when it comes down to it, it's those infrastructure costs is what really adds up. I mean, it's not the bleachers and the park benches and the trees. Like, you can cut all of that out and it's going to save you, hardly anything.
And I think the lighting was one of the big things we did want to have. And so to cut it out doesn't make sense to me. I think we've got to start looking for more grant money. I know I was reading about the one state grants. There's a number of them up and down. There were city parks that were benefiting from it, from a few $100,000 up to, I think, 8 or 9 million on a couple of them. So there's a round of that coming up for next year.
Yes, there is. There's a couple of things coming up in January and February that, one project, perhaps the one you're mentioning, allows applications up to 15 million. Now, that depends on a few factors. I think, depending on demographics and whatnot, I think you can only apply, we may only be able to apply for like 50% of the total project value through that, but, that would still be very significant. The community development block grant funding is, they've restructured their guidelines. We have applied for park projects before. We tried to get funding for Highlands Park a few years ago. Park projects usually don't get funded with community development block grant funding. I think that's a different situation, and so we would likely apply there. I think we could apply for about 3.25 million through that program. I mean, there's some things out there. It's just, it's going to take more time, and the more time it takes, the more it costs. So, we're at this, if we have the 18.7 million at this time next year, it's not going to be enough. So.
Well,
At least at
To
the
me-
trajectory things are going.
Right.
To me, this is an extremely important project for the city, for our youth, and for the city in total. I don't see us walking away from it. We've got to try to figure out how to do it.
I almost feel the opposite. This is devastating. We had a short window where we had the money and we had the plans and we could execute, and we missed that window. And we're going to be chasing our tail for the next 5 years, trying to get funding to make this happen. I appreciate the optimism, and I do think we should be pushing forward, but we're in a tough spot here.
There's no question, or I don't think anybody denies that.
So, okay, so may I finish?
Sure.
Thank you. So I guess my thought is we have the baseball fields and then we have the rest of the project over here. So is the main cost over towards the baseball fields? Is that going to be our main infrastructure cost? Because I'm thinking if we could do just part of the project now, and, and then concentrate on doing the rest of the project later to where we do have the baseball fields if possible, and get the infrastructure, and if we can't completely finish it, we get those fields going, the baseball and the soccer fields going, and then concentrate on getting the money for the rest of the project. Is that just something that's possible to do?
I'm not sure. I'm happy to talk to our design team about alternatives around that and see what ideas
Sadly,
we
all
come-
the infrastructure, the drainage, the lighting, the water, everything goes under the field.
Well, and I understand that, but there's a lot of that other project, part of that project that is also very costly too, so maybe part of it. I'm just throwing it out there, just to say, is it a possibility? If we can do any of it, I say we should move forward to, if we could get the fields in there, if that's a possibility, to get the fields in and the infrastructure that's needed there.
Understand.
And wait for the rest of the project as we get the money, then to me, that would be very important for us to do.
I understand. Councilmember Slotin.
I think we should approach it two ways. One is to continue with the design. I don't know how much it's going to cost to go to 90% or something like that.
Well, I mean, that's already funded. We use our own funding for that, so, yeah.
So, and then do some value engineering, because I think, the cost seems out of whack between the first and the second one. And then get with the groups that have their interest in it and see how we can scale back, change or something to see if we can get closer to what we have now and with some additional funding. I mean, so it can become, instead of a $18 million, a $12 million, if we do some of it in phases and some value engineering. I can think of a couple of things off the bat when I look at the design, how we can streamline that. I mean, maybe we don't have to pave the asphalt parking lot. Maybe there's some other ways to do it that might be a little bit cheaper and stuff. So anyway, I think there could be some value engineering done on it.
I just think we need to be really committed to continuing the effort to make this a world-class facility.
I mean, I agree that we do need to think, just looking at, I think it's a good idea to reconvene this group I think maybe that's the first step to do, reconvene the group, have them go through. I do like the idea of, maybe working on some figures and stuff. So I think to me, that's the first step we should do, is reconvene this group and start working on what we can do with what we have without hurting the project at whole. I don't want to hurt the project at whole. That's why I'm asking, is there phases? Like, yes, I understand all this stuff has to go in these areas, but can we do it in phases and still be able to accomplish the wonderful project that we have? I don't want to do it and make it look like what we already have. There's no sense in it. Right. Why move the fields if they're not going to be better? Right. So I don't want to go through that process. So I think we should reconvene the group. That's my opinion.
Thank you.
The other thing I wanted to mention is we have, assuming this is okay with the council, but we have kind of started putting some ideas together in creating, some type of sponsorship program. I know, I don't think we're probably going to get, $5 million from community sponsors, but, we experienced that in Austin Park. There is a lot of community support and pride in participating in that. And so we're looking at putting together some different sponsorship levels. And after the first of the year, we'd like to roll that out and, see what response we get. But
thank you. Anything else? All right. At this time, I'd like to open it up for public comment. Anyone wanting to address the council, share your thoughts, this is the time. Please come forward. Introduce yourself. You know the rules.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. Nice to be here. I'm just going to throw this out here, is that this whole project is in litigation with the whole Koi Nation. And, is that going to be, it seems that it's going to be an issue throughout this project. What Ms. Claffey has said is, I think he's being more realistic, that this is huge. This is a huge, huge problem. Litigation is still going to be ongoing. The cost of litigation is going to continue, and that is going to continue to hold this project up, isn't it? Can you move forward when you're having this big issue about the grounds and the burial and all of those issues? You're really not going to be able to move forward on this project.
Well, just keeping things on a factual basis.
Yeah.
We haven't identified any burial sites or anything like that.
Okay, but that still is all
tribal cultural resources.
All keeping the things from progressing, isn't it? I'm just throwing it out there that why not consider a new location? Let's get out of the whole litigation area and let's look at a new area, a new piece of property that is going to be much more streamlined, and you can actually get it done.
Okay, thank you.
That would be great.
Well, a couple things on that. Unfortunately, the Koi Nation are threatening litigation on almost every development project in the city, so I don't think that's really going to be a helpful thing. The other part is, with CEQA litigation, the environmental document adopted by the city council is presumed to be valid unless determined otherwise by the court. So at this point in time, there's nothing ordered by the court to stop moving forward with the project. So I just wanted to clarify that.
I appreciate you doing that. Thank you. Anyone else wanting to speak on this matter? Come on up, please. If you could just please introduce yourself, that would be great.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Raylan Ray. I live in Lower Lake, California. I've lived here for about 20 years now, and I coach here at the Little League fields, and I've been doing it for 4 years. And, hearing about this project for the first time, it was like, because we drive 2 hours to 3 hours to go play travel ball for my son and my daughter to play and do all the wonderful things that sports provide. Well, Clearlake doesn't have that. We don't. You guys know it, and it's true. And this right here was a blessing, and I really hope we can go forth with this. Money shouldn't be an issue, period. This is our youth. This is what's going to be standing where you guys are. I feel we should do anything and everything to get this going. And I am willing to dedicate more than enough time. I get off at 4 o'clock, and I will be down here, down at the fields. I do it every time. You can ask Helen back there. I come. and
I'm
I
waiting
do-
for Helen to come up.
Me too. I just wanted to go before, and I want you guys to know how much I appreciate the time, Alan, all the work, all the hard effort that you put in. We see it. I see it, man. I appreciate everything you do, and thank you, Mayor, for letting me come and talk. Thank you, ladies.
That's your right. Anyone else wanting to come and address the council? You waited longer than I thought you would.
Just waiting my turn.
If you would please introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Helen Mitchum, and I'm on the board of South Shore Little League. I would just like to urge you not to give up on this. There were 392 kids that played South Shore Little League last year. That doesn't count any of the volunteers. You've got a couple down here, all of our board members. This is a big deal for them. We did have a very small tournament this year with teams from 5 different areas in Northern California, softball tournament. It was awesome. It's the first time I've ever done a tournament in our own location, which was nice, but we need these fields. We need the new fields, we need some work done on the existing fields, because they're falling apart. They've been there since, the league was chartered in 1959. This is our 65th anniversary in Clearlake, so.
I played on that. I played on that field in 1959.
Way to go, Russ. Way to go. So we have a lot of people who are excited about this. I keep saying, I want this before I die, so hurry up. You know? I'm impatient.
Yeah, you're
I'm
gonna be here.
impatient, so. But thank you very much for
Helen,
considering
thank you
it.
for your comments. I also want to point out, this isn't a field, we want it for the kids, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is a field that adults can come and play on as well.
Sure.
And we can have tournaments and bring
Yeah.
our community even closer together.
Yeah.
So we recognize the importance of this project, and we
Yeah.
were devastated by the news and what was happening.
I refuse to be, the negative Nancy, though, on this. I mean,
Thank you for
we're
that.
going to find it somewhere.
Be the hopeful Helen.
Yes, that's right. Oh, good one. I like that. Oh, clever. Thank you.
When we get,
Anyone else wanting to address the council on this item, please come forward. Seeing none in the chamber, Madam Clerk, anyone on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Claff, you have a comment?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I apologize for being pessimistic, and thank you for coming up and showing us why this is so important. It's going to be hard. It's something that we're going to, and I believe Councilmember Slutin and Kramer, you were on the committee previously?
yes, we were. Or yeah, we both were.
You have a heroic task ahead of you here, but I know you're on the committee. Helen, I know you're on the committee. Any support you need to get this done, you have my full support.
He's not even up for reelection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, all we need is your checkbook. but-
Nope, I think we have to do a full court press. We have to look for more money, and we have to look for ways to get the contractors to shave a little bit. But we do, absolutely, we need these fields for our kids, for our youth. You were very eloquent on that. And actually for our city, is it bringing tournaments here is going to be a boost to our tourism. So it's good all the way around. We've got to get it done.
All right. Any other comments before I close public comment? Very well, I'm going to close public comment. I'll bring it back to the council for direction to staff.
I'll go first. As I said, I think the committee needs to convene, and to me, that's the smartest way to start, and let them go over this plan and see, especially with the 2 that we have on there. I think we can probably come to a better solution for them working on it and bringing it back to the council.
Thank you. Councilmember Slotin.
I concur.
As do I.
Kramer.
No, I concur.
I concur.
As do I. Let's not abandon this. It's too important to our community.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that. appreciate.
No pressure, just get it done, sir.
Okay.
All of those
You know,
good, all of those good things that he said about you earlier, now we're going to put you down. Feet to the
There's always
fire.
a catch. No, but I would encourage all of you, and we have done some outreach, please talk to Assemblymember Agar Curry and Senator McGuire. Now is the time at the end of the year when they're thinking about what to put in next year's budget requests. You know, I have a little bit of hope when we saw the senator last week. He doesn't seem to be as concerned about the state budget as everyone was last year. So I think it would go a long way if each of you would reach out and say, you know, we need a little bit more help here. So
Yeah.
Thank you.
I agree.
All right, very good. Moving on to item I-13, public hearing. I'd like to open this public hearing to consider the adoption of the First Amendment to the fiscal year 2023-24 fee schedule, resolution number 2023-29, updating facility rental fees, resolution 2023-47. Mr. Flora.
Director Wells will present this.
Director Wells.
Now it is. Thank you, Mayor and council members. As you're aware, the city is in the process of doing renovations at the senior center and the youth center, and we'll have improved public facilities there. Our recreation program coordinator, Viramontes, has taken the time to assess the current fee schedule and do some comparisons with other similarly sized facilities, and taking into consideration the upgrades of the facilities. And she has put together a list of recommendations for fee increases for your consideration. There are small increases and in line with the improvements to the facilities, and she's keeping an eye on developing financial self-sustainability for the recreation program. And program coordinator Viramontes, I believe, is on Zoom with us tonight to answer any questions you have about the fee schedule, the upgrades, and so the staff recommendation is to adopt the resolution.
Thank you very much. Any questions of staff this time? Very good. I'd like to open it up for public comment. Anyone wanting to comment on this item, please come forward and introduce yourself. Don't everybody come up at once, just form a line to the right. Anyone on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Very good. Before I bring it back, Ms. Viramontes, thank you so much for being with us tonight. Do you have any comments you'd like to share before we bring it back for deliberation?
Good evening. I just wanted to say that I know raising fees are not always a happy time, but in light of all the renovations that we are doing, Director Wells was correct. I feel like it would be beneficial for the sustainability of the city and the recreation department to raise the fees. However, we kept in mind that we don't want to decrease the amount that the facilities are used, so we tried to maintain affordability as well.
Is there a fee schedule you have proposed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, did you want to comment on that?
Just that we did just raise things a little bit, just to keep in line with the increased costs of utilities and electricity and stuff like that.
I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I apologize.
That's okay, sir.
Any questions of staff? Very good. Thank you, Ms. Viramontes.
Good evening.
I'll bring it back to council for action.
Mr. Mayor, if you're ready for a resolution.
I apologize. I need to have a motion to close the public hearing.
I so move.
Second.
I believe I asked on Zoom. I did? I thought I did. It's okay. They need to watch over me tonight. I'm having kind of a rough patch. Yeah, that's enough out of you.
I'm sorry.
All right. So I'd like to close the public hearing. Do I have a motion for that?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, bring it back to the council for deliberation.
Mayor, if there's no more deliberation, I'd like to make the motion.
Please.
I'd like to accept the resolution number 2023-47, adopting the First Amendment to the fiscal year 2023-24 fee schedule. Resolution number 2023-29.
Thank you.
Second.
A motion by Councilmember Overton and a second by Vice Mayor Claffey. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Still getting there.
Any opposed?
My voting machine is fine. There we go. Aye.
Motion passes with unanimous vote of the council.
Thank you all very much. Moving on now to item J14, under our business section, authorization to enter into a 5-year contract with Flock Safety for automated license plate reader cameras, resolution number 2023-48. Chief.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Tonight I'm going to briefly go over some of the stuff in the staff report, and then I will put a PowerPoint presentation up and go over that. So basically, as you've probably read in the staff report, we currently have 30 stationary ALPR automatic license plate reader cameras throughout the city that were purchased and installed by Flock Safety. They provide maintenance for the cameras and software the cameras use. The City Council approved the original agreement with Flock in December 2018 and an update in 2021. We're currently on a year-to-year agreement with Flock and is based on a per camera count. Recently, the department became aware that there would be a substantial increase in the cost to operate the ALPR system for any customer nationwide with Flock that is not on a 5-year agreement. The additional expense would cost the department an additional $32,320 above the $55,480 we're currentently paying. They have provided us an option to keep our costs near what it is, going up $400 to $55,880 if we enter into a 5-year agreement with them for the camera system. Let's see here. Flock has been identified as the sole vendor for our currently installed ALPR cameras. They're compatible with our digital evidence storage system additionally, and the retention of their ALPR data is configurable with our specifications and adheres to local and state requirements. And we control who can access the data our cameras capture. I'm going to go into the PowerPoint here, and then at the end of that, I'll go back into this, go over some of the stuff in the staff report. So just a brief overview here of crimes according to the International Association of Chiefs of Police, that 70% of crimes involve the use of a motor vehicle. ALPR usage. Some of the things we get out of the ALPR, we get instant feedback on stolen wanted vehicles, wanted persons, missing persons, and investigative leads on vehicles that are entered into the Flock database. Investigative use, locate suspects, victims, and witnesses for criminal investigations, complete or partial vehicle searches in the system, and again, investigative leads. The right's just a photo of a typical alert that an officer would get on their phone regarding a notification on a stolen vehicle or another vehicle that's entered into the Flock system. Just some things going over Senate Bill 34 regarding ALPR authorized uses and monitoring, things that Senate Bill 34 allows law enforcement to do with ALPR. Locate stolen or wanted vehicles, locate and apprehend individuals with arrest warrants or otherwise lawfully sought by law enforcement, locate witnesses and victims of violent crimes, locate missing persons, identify vehicles associated with targets of criminal investigations, and Senate Bill 34 also requires that agencies no less frequently than every 12 months conduct an audit sampling the ALPR system utilization from the prior 12-month period. Some basic ALPR data from a study last year. of a little over 1,000 agencies in the country. 56% of the agencies don't do regular audits. 22 do them annually, 12% do them quarterly, 8% do monthly, 2% do weekly. We do monthly audits, monthly, not full base audits of everything, but the sample audits that are required under the AB 34. Data retention. Records retention in California varies depending on agency. Agencies typically retain ALPR data for 30 days to 2 years, depending on the agency's policy and record retention requirements. At the expiration of the retention period, the ALPR data is purged unless the data has been previously saved as evidence in an investigation that the department is conducting. Us, for example, we retain our data for 30 days, which is the minimum that we can do in the ALPR system. Just a couple of privacy concerns. Who has access to the data? Police officers at our department, dispatchers, and other non-sworn employees who have been trained in the access of the system. Who does not have access to the data? Federal and out-of-state law enforcement personnel from any state, no matter what the agency they're in, they do not have access to our data. And then we do not provide data to the public, as that is in violation of SB 34. Camera deployment. I think that's a typo. 30 cameras strategically deployed at intersections and along roadways. Most of our cameras are based in locations that normal traffic flow is on irregular roads. We don't have cameras monitoring locations like specific housing developments or apartment complexes, things like that. They're just on regular roadways that normal traffic flows on. Some deployment issues, future deployment issues. As in the staff report and resolution, there's a condition there to possibly increase the amount of the funding per year from the $55,880 to $71,000 a year. We have been looking at some new camera options that are available from Flock. That would focus on fire detection, not license plate reading. These would work similar to some of the cameras that are already in the county from PG&E or Alert California. There are different locations, some on Mount Canocti, Ziegler Mountain, other locations that use the AI to detect smoke, and the system would, the call center would alert dispatch of the smoke. So we're looking into some of those options, and again, those additional ones, we would not be focusing on ALPR, it would be the fire detection. So now we'll go over some basic data comparison before ALPR and versus after ALPR in Clearlake. So the 3 years prior to the deployment of ALPR, we had 47 total arrests for vehicle theft or possession of a stolen vehicle. So the 3 years, 36 consecutive months before the deployment, 47 arrests. The 3 consecutive years after deployment, 162 arrests for vehicle theft or possession of stolen vehicles, which is an increase of 244%. I just want to point out one of the things that's often good on this is oftentimes when we can recover these vehicles after being notified that they go through an intersection or a location with the LPR cameras, we can make an arrest of someone and recover the vehicle, and generally that's a better option for the owner of the vehicle. Oftentimes on vehicles that we don't recover that someone's driving, or the camera hits them driving on the vehicle and we find it parked nearby, oftentimes these vehicles are taken to remote areas, they're stripped, they're damaged, they're vandalized, which is a big issue for the owners of the vehicles, especially people that don't have full coverage insurance. They can be out of vehicles. So it definitely, the increase in getting these vehicles where they're driving around and haven't been destroyed yet is definitely beneficial for a lot of the victims whose vehicles are taken. Next one, some more statistics for the 3, not complete years, we're in December, but from basically January 21 through now. These are some of the cases that we have solved and helped solve or identify who the suspects are or identify the vehicle used in the crime. Homicides, 2, attempted homicides, 4 cases, assault with deadly weapon, 8 different cases, robberies, 4 different cases, burglaries, 5 different cases. Negligent discharge of a firearm, 4 cases, arson, 1 case, kidnapping, 2 cases, brandishing a firearm, 2 cases, injury and non-injury hit and run, 21 cases. Just to highlight a couple of those, 3 of those different cases have been at the intersection that crosses across Lakeshore Drive by the Adventist Health Clinic and the VA clinic. 3 of those ones there, we had basic minimal vehicle descriptions, but due to the proximity of the ALPR cameras at the Lakeshore and Old Highway 53 intersection and the SR 53 and Lakeshore intersection, and the time it would take a vehicle to travel between those 2 locations, we were able to use the cameras, find out who those people were, ultimately, within a short period of time, go to their houses, locate the vehicles that had the damage consistent with the collision, and then get statements from the people admitting to being involved in those hit-and-run collisions. We've used the ALPR to locate 14 different missing people, and then 26 other cases, just other various cases that didn't fall into the categories above. This is not an exhaustive list. There's many more cases. This is just a summary of some of the more serious cases that we have helped solve or identify suspects or vehicles with the system. There are some cases out there where we would ultimately get to the point we got with the ALPR. It might take a little longer, though. And it's definitely beneficial in any criminal investigation to be able to have this information, get the vehicle information identified in a shorter period of time. Typically in investigations, the longer it takes to find the suspect vehicle or the suspect, that's time that evidence disappears. You might be missing out on stuff that's on their phones that gets erased, deleted, and losing different evidence. So it definitely is beneficial to us in getting a lot of these cases solved quicker and obtaining the evidence we need to get a conviction in court. So now briefly go back to the staff report. Actually, I'm not going to go back to that. Are there any questions?
Any questions of the chief? Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Chief. As you all know, I am vehemently against ALPR systems, not because I oppose catching criminals, not because I even oppose the way our police department is implemented, and I think the chief has done a very thoughtful job in the way he's deployed this system. What I'm opposed to is the massive amount of data that is collected as part of this process. So, Chief, a few questions for you, if I could. And I know we've covered this a few times, so I'll try not to ask the same questions that I've asked in the past. But right now, our retention policy is 30 days. Over the course of 30 days, how many unique records do we have, license plate captured over that time on average?
1.655 million, which was, if you break it down per vehicle, it was 82,000 different vehicles made up the 1.655 million records. And to break it down a little further, some of those, some hits go through a camera and there's multiple images taken of the same vehicle at the same intersection at the same time. It's not necessarily, that each vehicle, if you break it down, if you divide the 1.665 or the 1.655 million by the 82,000, it's not necessarily that we got it on that many cameras. One car could have 10 images from the same camera at the same intersection, all repeatedly taken.
Okay. So you said over 36,000 vehicles that pass through. We're a town of 15,000, so a lot of those folks are out-of-towners who probably only have a few images taken of their vehicle. 1.6 is still a very large amount. How many agencies currently have access to our data?
137.
And the process by which other agencies can access our data?
Any other agency that is currently in California, an agency in California that is in the FLOC database, they can get pre-authorization to access our system. Basically, they send an electronic request to us. Unless there's some reason why we wouldn't approve it, we would approve them access to search for license plate data. There are some agencies that we do not allow to access our data that are California agencies due to the fact that they work in collaboration with federal agencies or task force type agencies that have people on them that work for federal agencies. So we do not share data with those agencies. But other than that, an agency, like I said, they would submit a request and we would approve the request.
So 136 agencies that are pre-approved, so that's tens of thousands of individuals have access to our data. I had a question for you that, and we had a great conversation earlier in the week. Thank you for taking the time to do that, Chief. I had a question specifically on policy 433.7 regarding the release of LPR data. Right now, in that policy, it requires an agency to make a written request that includes the name of the agency, the name of the person requesting, and the intended purpose for obtaining that information. When we had talked, you said that there have been 0 written requests. I can agree that an electronic form is somewhat equal to a written form, but Section C here that says the approved request needs to be retained on file. That seems to be missing in this conversation. So could you just give us some insight on why that's the case?
Yes, that is for agencies that are not pre-authorized per our policy. Pre-authorized agency, they don't need a specific request each time. Every agency that of those 137 agencies that are pre-authorized to get our data, they submitted the electronic request, which is maintained in Flock. We can access that list, see who those agencies are. So their electronic written request is maintained in the Flock database. But we don't, those agencies that are pre-authorized aren't required to submit a specific request for data other than, I mean, I guess they are submitting a request each time they submit it, it's just automatically approved.
And when was the decision made to go around this process and allow pre-authorization?
I would assume that, in 2018, when the initial contract was approved, that's when we had the, I believe we didn't have a Flock or an ALPR policy before that. And so when that policy was put into place in late 2018, that would have been the time.
So these 106 agencies, tens of thousands of folks who have access to our database, the stats you showed earlier said 60% of these, or 56% of these agencies don't do any audits. And we have no way to track what or why they're obtaining information, correct?
Well, we can see when they get data from us, they have to make an entry basically listing what they want the information for, so we can see that. So if during our audit we had some agency that wasn't providing the required information, we could cancel them and not give them the pre-authorization to get data. But yes, that's nationwide, that study shows that's what the time period on those agencies are, but that's a little off. California, we're required to do them at a minimum, do the 1 per year audit. Some of the other states don't have that requirement.
Okay. You also shared with me the Flock transparency portal. Thank you for that. On there, I saw a couple of policies that are set in there. For example, currently, we prohibit the sale of our data to a third party, which thank you for ensuring that is the case. Is that codified in any way, either in our policy, in our past ordinances, or is that just a feature that Flock currently offers and they can switch off at any time?
Well, Flock has it on there. It's state law. The AB 34 does not allow us to sell this data, do anything with it. So I think they're just putting it there so people can see it and know that
So-
don't have to worry about us selling the data to anyone.
So similar question, I guess I'll take a step back there. Does that include anonymized data?
Could you repeat that?
Does that include anonymized data where they remove certain identifying factors and sell data around trends and general movement activity?
Yes, to my understanding, Flock, all the data is owned and controlled by us. They don't give any information out other than to the agencies we have pre-authorized to get the information.
Okay. The 30-day storage policy, again, in 433, we have a 60-day maximum hold. You mentioned on Flock, it's 30 days. Is that simply based on their data storage policy, or is that something that we can set and correct?
That's what we can set, and obviously I wasn't, until we talked the other day, I wasn't aware that our policy was saying 60 days, so we'll be updating our policy to reflect the 30 days that we store the data, or that we allow Flock to store the data for.
Okay, thank you. And also on there, I saw we currently don't allow facial recognition or biometric data collection. Again, thank you for that. But is that codified in any way in either our policies or our ordinances?
To my knowledge, I do not think it is. And also to my knowledge, I don't think the product we have has the capability for Flock to do that. I mean, obviously, there's companies out there that can do that, but Flock doesn't do that at this time.
Currently. But over the course of a 5-year contract, potentially they could.
Oh, it could be, yes, yeah. We don't have intentions to go that route.
So the request here is for new cameras. As part of this request and the extension, we mentioned that there's the potential to use AI to detect fire starts, and I think that's a wonderful use of that technology. Are you confirming that none of the new cameras that we would purchase would be primarily purchased for plate recognition over the course of the next 5-year contract?
Yeah, our intention is not for that. And, I mean, realistically, the locations that would be suitable to place these cameras for the fire detection, they're not going to be aimed looking at roads. They're going to be long distance off, overviews, looking at large portions of the city from a far away distance.
All right, last one to summarize. Thank you so much for taking the time here. So right now, we have 30 cameras. For an average citizen, we have anywhere from 20 to 60 points of detection over the course of a 30-day period. We have all that to, based on the back of the napkin math here, stop 4 to 5 stolen vehicles and 2 to 3 additional crimes over the course of a 30-month period. This data can be accessed by tens of thousands of individuals across California with little visibility into access and concerns over their ability, or our ability, to audit that access. We have 30 cameras now. Let's take the fire piece aside. Is that sufficient coverage? Do you believe that's sufficient coverage for the needs of Clearlake right now?
I think so. I mean, when we set this up initially, we set it up basically, like I said, not to monitor a specific, neighborhood, a housing complex, apartment complex. We tried to cover, most of the geographic parts of the city. So if a vehicle was involved in a crime and, we don't want to spend all day looking over here if it's crossed over the SR 53, the other side of the highway. So we're looking at major arterial roads to have an idea of where to look for a vehicle. And I think currently with the, how everything's been working with this system, our system's doing a pretty good job of that. Vehicles, can't go from this side of the highway to that side of the highway without us knowing. I don't see, other than the additional cameras, hopefully in the future for doing fire detection, stuff like that. At this time, I don't know why we would spend more money to add more ALPR cameras, because it's covered pretty well right now.
Great. Thank you, Chief.
Councilmember Overton.
Yes, I want to thank you for taking your time this morning, talking to me about this here. I like the idea of the fire, catching fires early. I think in my neighborhood, we've had quite a few fires this year, lost a few homes and lives, and I think maybe if we would have had something like that in place, we might have been able to save some lives. So I am definitely for that. I am with Councilmember Claffey, as long as there's no facial recognition, I think the plate thing is been beneficial, it seems like, for us. So, but I do thank you for, taking your time this morning and to really get into some details on this. I appreciate that. I would like you to, we were talking about how many times when we say hits, how many times that, we were talking about how they hit on how our police officers handle it for, say, one incident. Can you kind of explain that like you did to me this morning? Because that made me realize that hits can be a lot on just one little incident. So.
Yes, on the searches, for example. So let's just say we had a vehicle that was, was driving by a location and shot at someone's residence, and we have 4 officers working. So those 4 officers might go out and they're looking around the general area for that vehicle, then go, park nearby. They'll log on to Flock and they'll put the information they have on the vehicle in, and they'll keep doing repetitive searches for that vehicle to see if it hits on any cameras. Because vehicles that are in like the California stolen vehicle system, they'll automatically get an alert when one of those goes by. But one of these ones that hasn't got to that point, they'll search for that vehicle, or if they have a license plate, they'll search for the vehicle, it'll search all the cameras, they see it hasn't hit a camera yet. Well, they might wait if it's a serious enough thing, they might wait 30 seconds or a minute, and they hit search again with the same vehicle information to see if it's now hit a camera. And this could go on for, a decent amount of time, and you have 4 people doing that, so you get a lot of searches for the same vehicle in a very short period of time, because, like I said, they're trying to see when it's going to hit a camera, or if it already has hit a camera, what camera it's going to next. That way they know where to drive and look for.
So one incident with 4 police officers could generate easily 100 hits.
Yes.
So because that's where a lot of those hits, when we say, over and over and over again, it's because it's the same incident, which I did not realize until you told me this morning, is still counting all those hits have been on that same thing.
Yes, on the audit portion, on the
Right.
searching of what
Right.
the data the officer's looking at, yes.
So when we say how many times how many hits you have, it's really, basically, that doesn't really determine how many vehicles have actually been going through the cameras. It's more just
No, yeah, it has no effect on that. I mean, whether it's, 200,000 vehicles or the 1.655 million, the amount of searches is just going to depend on what's going on, how many officers are on when those incidents are going. And, like I said, one officer, he might be sitting somewhere, in the middle of town waiting for this, and they're hitting search, every 30 seconds, where someone else, they might do it every 5 minutes. It's going to vary. There's no requirement. And, the more, on a case like that, where you're looking for a vehicle that's just committed a crime and trying to figure out if it's driving somewhere, the more you hit it and search it, you're going to be more likely to, be able to find out where the vehicle's going.
All right, thank you for explaining that.
You're
Appreciate it.
welcome.
Councilmember Kramer.
Yes, Chief, as from our conversation, which I kind of sat in on or stood next to Councilwoman Overton, you had mentioned this 5-year contract is basically to lock in a price as opposed to paying it, I think, paying this year and then next year, and it would freeze the price at the current level as opposed to it.
Yes, it'll go up $400, and that was due to errors in our billing before, so they're just taking the amount it should have been at.
So it's not to add any more cameras, it's just simply to keep that in place for another 5 years.
Correct. Yes, currently, if we made our payment that's due this month, we would be good through next December, but then after that, we'd go up the roughly $33,000 a year, because we wouldn't be in the 5-year contract with them.
Okay, so it's important that contract gets signed this month.
Yes.
Well, I want to clarify, Councilmember Kramer, there is sort of a delta added in there, or requesting to add a delta in there for the possibility of adding fire detection cameras if we're able to sort that out.
I'm going to get to that one.
Okay, I just want to clarify.
Moving on to the fire detection cameras, which would be a new purchase. I would agree with, again, with Councilwoman Overton. I think that's a great additional program to have and tool for us to have in our toolbox. I do have the question, has Lake County Fire Protection District weighed in as far as perhaps helping a little bit with that?
We have not had discussion with them at this point. We were kind of in the beginning stages where a company is doing some of the mapping currently to figure out possible locations so we can try and come up with an idea on how many cameras we would need. But we have not reached out and spoke with them regarding this at this point.
Okay, do you plan to, or?
Well, main thing I want to get is a little more hard data first on, what we're looking at here in cameras, the total cost on everything. But yeah, I think that's definitely an option if we have someone else that wants to partner with us and help us on
whether they have the money to do it or not, but I think they are benefiting from it as well, so it's worth asking. But I think it's a great idea, and I think it'll perhaps save some lives even. So, thank you.
But again, I want to make sure everyone's aware this isn't, these are very beginning stage conversations about this. We don't, we're not 100% positive it's going to work between the two companies, Flock, and then the company that does the AI to detect the fires. But that's what we're working on right now.
Okay. Thanks, Chief.
I want to clarify slightly on that. We know the AI technology for fire detection works. And we've talked to them, and there's a number of camera options. It's Chief Hobbs had the idea of trying to use the new type of camera that Flock is coming out with as a way to spread the costs out of the cameras, because it's basically a subscription type service rather than having to go in and purchase the camera. So he's been working with them to try to make sure. We believe that it's likely to work, but just wanted to.
Thank you.
I mean, there's other options. If the Flock camera thing doesn't work, we could go out and buy cameras that would work for the fire detection part of it. But we think this is a better, more economical way to do it if we can make it happen.
Thank you. Councilmember Slotin?
Isn't the fire district supposed to be doing this?
Well, I think you could argue that there's a lot of agencies, like perhaps the Risk Reduction Authority or other groups, but we had the idea because we saw some examples of this happening, and decided to jump in and see if we could, pull it together to make our community safe.
I'm all for it, but I think definitely you need to collaborate with the fire district on this.
I don't know if we need to. It would be nice. I mean, this is, instead of waiting for someone to call 911, the artificial intelligence does it based on detecting fire. So, I think certainly there's an argument that it would benefit them, or we could ask them to be responsible for it or whatever. But, we think the best approach is for us to get involved and see if we can figure it out.
As CAL FIRE has the cameras up on Canocti, but they don't necessarily.
So there's a number, so the AI technology is kind of separate from the camera system. Most of the cameras that do fire detection that exist in the state of California are actually PG&E cameras that were installed. So the camera's installed, and I mean, we're getting a little bit, I guess, afield of the agenda item here, but it is kind of related. So, and they use the AI technology to scan that footage, okay? So we could pay this company to install the cameras for us, or we can install our own cameras, and they can run the technology through that does the detection. So we do have PG&E cameras in Lake County that provide some coverage, but as you know, we have what I would call an abnormal number of fire starts in and immediately around the city of Clearlake comparatively with the rest of Lake County, and we believe that having a little more granular coverage of the city would be helpful in detecting those fires earlier than the existing cameras in the network.
Thank you. Chief, I may have missed it. I apologize if I did. Haven't we had some success in catching illegal dumpers?
Yes, we had, there was.
Plagued with that.
On the slide, there was the 26 other cases. A couple of those were, I don't know the total number on illegal dumping ones. I know there are some, but I was just hitting on some of the.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. At this time, I see no other comments. I'd like to open it up for public comment. If you have something you'd like to share with us regarding this item or a question for the chief, please come forward. Seeing no one, Madam Clerk, anyone on Zoom?
There is one hand raised on Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
And that would be Jessica Taliaferro.
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Hi, this is Jess Taliaferro, and I'm sorry I'm very late to this game, but I appreciate to be acknowledged at this time. As many of you know, I live at 14070 East Lake Drive, right behind Pomo School, and we are always on fire watch. We are always watching our neighborhood, watching our neighbors. We have our own little community out here with the Fitz and Marks and everyone else that's in our area. I've had some recent serious concerns about what's going on with the cleanup. I'm noticing that the orange and black bags at the end of Acacia are now almost gone, but since then I've noticed more people are starting to dump their own private trash, hoping that the city of Clear Lake will pick it up and get rid of it. I'm worried about nails, I'm worried about fire, I'm worried about what else is being dumped that's going into our water sources. It is embarrassing. You know, I have an active life. I have whole entire school coming to my home in next week, and it's embarrassing and disgusting, and I'm almost ashamed to live here looking at what I have to drive by just to come home every single day. And I do appreciate the city cleaning it up, but the way that it's being cleaned up and the time it's taking for it to clean up is a serious concern for my whole neighborhood.
Thank you, Jessica. Yeah, we're talking about the cameras only that may be deployed into the neighborhoods to help detect maybe illegal dumping and fire starts, that type of thing, and any other criminal behavior. But I do thank you for your comments.
I'm sorry I'm late to the game.
That's okay. No apology necessary. And we've got 2 lieutenants, I'm sure took detailed notes. All right, thank you very much. Anyone else wanting to comment? Madam Clerk, anyone else on Zoom?
There are no further hands raised on the Zoom.
Very well. Bring it back to council for any further deliberation. Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So this is obviously the third time this has come up based on some of the questions. Maybe not all my concerns around access and data privacy are resonate with all of you, and I can appreciate that. This is obviously a controversial issue, and some cities are approving it, some cities are rejecting it due to privacy concerns. So what I did, I made the assumption that this would pass, and I dove into the contract, I dove into our policies, and knowing your perspective, we want to use this to solve crimes. Knowing my perspective, I want to, as best we can, protect the privacy of our residents, and especially those who are not involved in criminal activities. I have a couple of things I want to focus on here. One, these suggestions preserve Clearlake PD's ability to identify hot list vehicles via ALPR and act quickly. My suggestions preserve the use of this technology to review and analyze vehicle movements in direct response to an investigation. And then what I want to do here is tighten the language in the contract and policies to better control distribution, limit sale of data, formally adopt the Attorney General's guidance on the federal and non-state agency access. It seems like there's still a little back and forth on whether or not that guidance that he released in October of this year is the correct path forward. I want to include language to strengthen our recourse ability in the event of unauthorized access of data. Affirm the city can take legal action in the case of unauthorized access. None of this is really included in the contract. Modify our storage policy to limit the impact to innocent parties in the event of unauthorized access, and codify the prohibition of the use of technology for passive biometric collection. So going through the contract, a couple of things we already touched on, 4.4 in this contract, around aggregated data. It sounds like there's not a lot of clarity on whether or not this data, if anonymized, can be sold. If that is the case, I would like some language in this contract to prohibit the sale of Clearlake's data. Yes?
Isn't it according to the law that they can't sell it?
They can't, well, at this point, we know they can't sell data that has the details within it. My question is around aggregated and anonymized data that can identify trends without the identifying factors within it.
Like for survey type of information.
Yep. That data can still be used for enhancing their software, making their services better, but to sell it to a third party, I would like us not to be involved in that. Again, this is regarding aggregated data. 4.5, I think we need to have stronger language in here around unauthorized access. Unauthorized access to me is access to our data, either by an unapproved agency or a malicious actor. We are living in an age where Experian got hacked and millions of people's personal data got loose. We're living in an age where 21andMe just got hacked and millions of DNA data is now available. We have location data of all of our residents, plus apparently another 50,000 residents who just happen to be passing through the city. That's incredibly sensitive data. And we need to make sure that Flock is protecting that. And there's some recourse if they don't. So I'd love to see that included in the contract. And then, of course, termination. So 6.3, there are some terms in which there are penalties involved if we decide to terminate the contract. I'd like to have in there, with the exception of unauthorized access. I want to be able to break this contract in the case of that. And there's also in that language, in that contract, some language that basically states if they're able to rectify the problem within a certain period of time, we don't have the ability to terminate. Unauthorized access, once the cat is out of the bag, we've lost it. We've lost the data. And then finally, with the ordinance, I would recommend some changes. So one, whereas the city council recognize, and this can be retooled, Ryan, I know I'm just kind of throwing this out here, but I didn't know which way this conversation would go. Whereas the city council recognizes that it has an obligation to protect the privacy of its citizens, and ALPR technology, coupled with known and unknown advancements in machine learning and artificial intelligence, has the capability to collect a vast amount of sensitive data on individuals. We also recognize these technological advancements and innovations are being developed at a pace faster than government's ability to regulate. And then, as part of what we resolved to do, revise all appropriate policies and vendor contracts to prohibit the sharing of ALPR and automated surveillance data with federal or out-of-state agencies in accordance with the Attorney General's guidance. Prohibit the use of city ALPR and its surveillance equipment in passive collection or the identification of biometric information, including facial recognition or broad genetic or protected traits such as gender, race, height, weight, etc. And then finally, I think this is important to reduce the maximum storage time from 30 days to 7 days. In the case of a violent crime or a felony, our police department acts fairly swiftly. In the case of unauthorized access, someone could have the information of innocent individuals, where they work, where they live, where they worship. They'll have 30 days worth of data, 1.6 million data points. I don't see much of an issue in reducing that down to 7, allowing our police department to use the capabilities of this wonderful tool to populate the hot list, investigate, retain the records that are needed as part of an investigation. That doesn't affect any of this. It just reduces the time that data sits on our server. And
days?
They do not, and there's been some bills that have gone up to the state that have reduced the storage time down to 3 days. This is sort of a balance between the two. And then finally, as part of this, I just want to make sure I love the fire piece of this. I just want to ensure that the primary purpose of any new camera purchase is around fire start detection. So, okay, guys, I'm done.
Well, let's go back to that 30 versus, I thought in your presentation, Chief, I'm sorry, I speak.
Yeah, thank you for that.
You'd said the minimum was 30, and now Vice Mayor Claffey is saying that that's not the minimum, that it could be 7 or even proposal to 3.
Well, it could
you
be. I
tell
know
me?
in my conversations before, in our previous conversations with Flock, that was the minimum agencies do. I mean, yes, technically, I would assume they could make it do any amount of time they want, but I think that's more than likely, that's the standard, what minimum people use, but yeah.
We might need to research that. There are minimum requirements for certain data, right? I don't know about this type of data. We'd have to confirm. I thought it was 30, not just because of industry standard, but by law. So I might need a minute to research whether we can reduce that to 7 if that's the will of the council.
Well, I mean, I want to add, I mean, I think, regardless of any of that, I think it really ties the hands of law enforcement in only having a week to be able to access that data. I'm not going to be able to give any specific examples, but, I think things don't always happen that fast. And, but the overall picture here, I mean, staff haven't seen any of this information, these contract changes, proposed policy changes. There's no way that we're able to respond and provide any real feedback on that at this time. So, I don't think it's feasible to really respond to what's been proposed by Vice Mayor Claffey.
To be fair, I don't expect you to respond today. What I do want is for us to discuss at least the direction. Again, this comes from a place of protecting the privacy of our residents. 7 days compared to 30 days, I would strongly argue that time period is not needed. For the bulk of what the city council has suggested they find so attractive about this, that's hot lists, cars, and immediate investigations of felonies and violent crimes. If we are not investigating violent crimes for 30 days and getting the evidence we need, I would consider that a bit of an issue in itself.
Councilmember Overton.
Okay, so I'm going to give you an example of, I'm not saying I mind cutting down the time some, but I'm thinking more like, 15 days on basis of, let's just take an incident that I know of that happened in another city, and it was a rape case. Sometimes rape victims, even though it was done in a public place, rape victims don't necessarily come forward really quickly. But because of this system, when she did come forward, they were able to go back and see time frame wise and actually caught the person. So there are certain cases, if they had got rid of it in 7 days, that wouldn't have happened. So, I think we need to keep it a little longer than 7 days. I'm thinking at least 15. Maybe 30 might be, but I'm thinking that we do need to keep it for like.
Well, but all due respect, this is an arbitrary target that's being thrown out there. And, I don't think that it's fair to do that at this point in the game. We're already at the low end of what agencies do. Some agencies do a year. I don't know where that target is. And I think I've talked to Vice Mayor Claffey about this. I respect his concern about privacy, but I also think, sort of the implication that we're collecting location data on citizens in the city, I have to disagree with that a little bit. What the location of that vehicle is for 1 second when it goes past the camera. It's not like you're locating someone's home, that type of thing. And I don't know. I feel strongly that the progress that has been made in crime statistics and crime prevention in this city, that this system has been a critical part of that. And I would really hate to see the city hamstring our police department in this way when, we have no examples of any type of abuse.
Vice Mayor.
I don't think it's an implication, I think it's a fact. And this type of data, if a police department wanted 30 days of cell phone location data, it requires a warrant. The Supreme Court decided this in 2018. Yes, we may not know exactly where they're moving, but we have no more than 12 main intersections and we have 30 cameras in the city. It's pretty easy to narrow in. And again, I have no issue with the police department using this. It's the tens of thousands of folks who also have access to this data that could be using it for other reasons. And we need to protect that data. There's no reason why we should be storing innocent folks' information beyond past a window of viability. At the state level, there's been bills to reduce this down to 3 days. 7, 15, yes, it's a compromise, but it's still protecting a significant amount of the location data of our residents.
Councilmember Slutin.
I'm somewhat concerned about the length of time too that they did, but I'm more concerned about the sharing of information. That's starting to bother me a little bit more. We don't know who is actually physically accessing. We don't know if there's some rogue persons digging into this data. So that's a concern. You have 136 agencies with literally thousands of people looking at this, potentially looking at this data, and we don't know who they are and what it's used for.
Councilmember Overton.
Could I comment to that?
Oh,
real quick?
please, please.
Just on that data, so it's all audited, so if, let's just say Sacramento Police, if they run a specific license plate in our system, it shows that what license plate they ran, the time they ran it, the reason they ran it, the case number they're running under for what their investigation is, all that's logged. They, someone can't go in and get too many records without, being fairly obvious if they're running just random, plates or things. It's all logged. It's each search gets them the result of one license plate at a time. So and like I said, it's logged in the audit trail. Their agency, in California, they're required to do audits on that, so their agency's auditing that. We see that in our audit.
So when Sacramento asks for certain data on a certain date, how long is that information kept?
It's indefinite.
Thank you, Chief. Councilmember Overton.
Okay, so I have a question, kind of a legal question probably. We can keep Ryan, spurred up here. So if we pass this resolution for the contract, can we come back and discuss rules and regulations of what we want to put forward, or do we need to do it before we pass something?
Yeah, I think you almost need to do it before unless you caveat it somehow in the contract. Once you sign the contract, you really can't amend it without the consent of the other party. So, I suppose you could say we agree to a certain number of days subject to California law, that it's consistent with it, but I would caution the council about agreeing to a contract that you want to maybe amend later.
Can I just clarify? I didn't recommend that storage time go into the contract. That's not part of the contract. That's something Chief can manipulate with his portal, I believe. Chief, correct me if I'm wrong. The only...
No.
It's
Oh,
in
you
the
can't? That's
contract,
part of
right?
the contract as well? All right. Stand corrected.
That's what I thought.
I
That's
need
why
to
I'm-
weigh in here.
Yes.
So, Chief, a car passes through an intersection where one of these cameras exists. My understanding is the cameras don't have the capability to capture the individual occupants within the vehicle, their images. Although I've seen some traffic cameras that are capable of capturing the driver, any passengers within the vehicle.
No, sometimes it does
They
capture a
do?
person.
Okay.
That's not their focus. The camera is focused on the plate. So
Correct.
sometimes you can see a very blurry person. That's not the goal of the camera.
Right. And all of these cameras are located within public corridors where the right to privacy, so to speak, is very limited as identified by the courts and court decisions. Is that correct?
Yes, and then, a couple, I guess, 8 of the cameras are at 2 different intersections. 2 intersections, they have cameras facing each way. So 8 of the 30 are at 2 main intersections.
Right. And none of these cameras, for example, point into somebody's home or backyard or any private areas?
No.
That would have restrictions in that? Okay. Thank you. Anything else? Fine. One more comment. This is a very valuable tool.
Yeah.
And I think that limiting the time, and I understand Vice Mayor's concerns. I want to protect the rights of our citizens. I want to protect the rights of my family from unreasonable searches and seizures, unreasonable data collections. I was quite frankly shocked and surprised when we got a consumer report that showed all the sales, the number of sales, all tracked by credit card and cell phone data coming into our city, but reveled at the idea of what kind of sphere of influence we had for that type of commerce and how we can better design it and work with our businesses. So looking at both sides of this, one, wanting to bring business into our town, we saw the beauty of that whole system and the abilities that it could help us in making our decisions. This, on the other hand, I'm concerned, as Councilmember Overton pointed out, I'm familiar of cases exactly like you described, where 30, 60, 90 days down the road, suspects to crimes have been identified because of Big Brother's cameras in public areas. So first, my last comment is, if we're going to pay this kind of money for this service, I want it to be utilized. And I want it to be accessed by people who, by law, cannot share it with anyone who is not duly authorized and certified to access that, which other law enforcement agencies are. And I know that through CLETS, all these things are very regularly audited and very locked down, very secure. Your comment about Ancestry.com, I'm very concerned about that. That was a huge data breach. But I don't know that that would be compared here. And I'll leave it there. Councilmember Overton.
So I have one more question. There was some, just some clarity that you wanted to change in the contract. You were kind of going
Yes,
through a lot of
correct.
stuff fast, so I just.
Yeah,
I
no,
just
I
wanted to-
apologize.
And
I know I have a lot
no,
here.
I know you're trying to get through it, but one of them was the termination of the contract. I actually did like that. I did like that if there was a breach, that we had the right to terminate immediately, not whether they corrected it or not. That would be our choice to stay on if we wanted to, and we felt they did their job. But I do think that should be something that we should be able to do if there is a breach. I think we should be able to terminate our contract immediately if there's a breach and quit using it. So
To that question, may I? Because my question is for either one of you, whoever chooses. What data are you concerned about being mined off of a license plate?
If I could share, so I went through the DNA.
The DNA?
The DNA breach, and just looked at some of the there were people looking at what theoretical impacts this could have, and I think there's a lot of parallels. So if you allow me here.
From DNA for Ancestry.com to license plates?
Well, we talk about sensitive information, and I think you'll see some parallels here. I think immediately, I'll bring up two known issues. One is around immigration data. So in the past, we've had cities that have given access to federal agencies to pursue undocumented folks here in the country, or here in California. We have had states outlaw things like reproductive rights, and then have asked for that data from California agencies. Now, thankfully, the AG has put out some guidance and said that shouldn't be allowed. But those are two abuses that have happened in the last few years that we're already trying to rapidly react to. There's a few things, and again, this is from the DNA piece, but.
If we can stay on point of order, though, we're not talking about DNA.
Okay, that's fine. Let me go through this list here.
We're talking about California license plates.
So if someone had access through another agency maliciously, this information could be used by hate groups, especially pertinent given the recent.
Mr. Vice Mayor, with all due respect, you're talking about hypotheticals that have.
Of course I am. Because it goes back to what is the potential abuse? What is the capability of this technology, both known and unknown, that we're not accounting for? We already have the state of California that has had to respond to two abuses of this technology.
On completely different data platforms.
On completely different, no, we're talking about the immigration, and we're talking about the.
Immigration is illegal immigration is a crime, whether federal, recognized by federal or state. And we may disagree on its application.
That's fair.
But again, what I'm looking at, what data is being harvested from a vehicle passing through an intersection on a public street with no expectation of privacy.
We are collecting location data on where they go to work, where they go to school. It might not be hyper-localized, but we are collecting that, and it's incumbent upon us to protect that data.
I think you're overreaching.
I don't think I am.
Because we're not collecting whether they go to work or not. or what times they go to
We're
work.
collecting their movement patterns, which with AI can easily dive into and show that pattern. I believe Flock even has a mapping tool within it to show the different plot points where a person is where a person is detected. Any agency can have access to that.
Chief, quick question to you. That data points that are collected, that is those would be identified through an active investigation when you're looking for a particular vehicle related to a particular subject, perhaps in a Part 1 crime.
Yeah, so if we're looking for it, we search that vehicle, we're going to see an image near whatever camera it's approaching. The only information it retains is the camera location and that image of the front of the vehicle or rear of the vehicle with the license plate. There's no other data in there other than that, what camera it is, and that image of the license plate, the front or back of the car.
80 times. In a 30-day period,
80 or 5,000, it doesn't matter to me.
I know it doesn't matter to you, but this is going to be the, no. Privacy is going to be one of the biggest issues for the next 2 generations of Americans. And I get we can sit here and say, oh, well, other people are punching this person in the face, so what if I go and take a shot? It's still immoral. It's still unethical to collect this data and to not apply the most protection we can possibly provide to it. That's my opinion, and listen, I respect that there's different opinions
I respect
here.
your opinion, sir.
But that's the perspective that I'm coming from, is that privacy is a huge issue for the next few generations, and we're being attacked on every front. This is not data that should be taken lightly. This is very sensitive data. And technology is going to advance to the point where we're going to be able to get more refined and do facial recognition, do biometrics, plot folks in a myriad of ways, then through AI combine that information to get a very clear picture of what that person is doing.
To that point, I agree, but this isn't that. Councilmember Overton.
Okay, so I still do not see where, if we put in that we have the right, if there is a breach, to terminate our contract. It's not saying we're going to, it's saying we have the right to look and say, we feel this was unethical, we don't want to do this, we want to terminate our contract. I don't see a problem in adding that little bit into our contract. I don't think it's going to hurt anybody. I think it is just a little safety net for us if it does happen. At some point, we don't know. License plate numbers can be taken to DMV, no offense, and somebody say, that this person hit my car, I need to know where they are, and they actually will give you the information. You can look up a lot of that stuff. So I do understand his concerns. I don't see where just putting that little thing in there saying we do have the right, if there is a breach, to terminate our contract. We can make that decision at that time. I don't think that gives us the right to make that decision, is what I feel. If we don't, we decide to go on, that's okay. If it wasn't, we didn't feel like it was that big of a deal. But it still gives us the right.
Mr. Jones, can that be done quickly? That one thing, the breach?
Yes, that can be done quickly. I think the question is whether Flock will agree to it. We'll certainly, they're a national company that probably has a standard contract they want to believe in, but if they want our business and that's important to the council and a majority wants to include it, we could fairly quickly add it, just in the motion, ask for that amendment.
Order. But we have to today make that decision, right?
I don't
Or you have to
know,
have a
Chief.
special meeting.
You have to make it before the end of the
We
year.
have to sign the contract before the 31st.
So you can have a special
If
meeting.
we want to save the $33,580 a year.
Which is $165,000 over the 5-year period.
That just gives us 1 year to sort this out. Maybe
No,
there's-
if we don't sign a contract by the 31st of this year,
I understand. If we just renew the contract, and not for the 5-year thing, then we can sort this out a little longer, over a longer period, because now we're kind of behind the 8 ball, either we have to prove it or not.
well, but if I understand it right, if we don't approve this for a 5-year contract by the end of this year, there is no going back.
Well, then we'll
It's-
pay the new customer pricing, so
So we'll
everyone
pay
that
an
doesn't
extra
enter the 5-year.
$33,000 a year. I don't think I want to do that if we're going to keep it. So we have till the
I'm just-
31st.
I'm just trying to figure out if there's a way to, address some of the concerns that we probably can't agree on today.
Yes, but we have the rest of
Well, I'm not sure we can't, all of us can't agree on it. There's 5 of us, or 3 of us agree, then it's going to pass. If 3 of us don't agree, it's not going to pass.
If I could offer, and I know I'm pushing hard because obviously I care about this.
We all care about it.
And I know you do. I really do. And that's why I feel comfortable in an environment like this talking with all of you, because I trust that you come into this with an open mind and you think critically about it. If there were 2 things that I would love to see come out of this, one is the unauthorized access language. I think that's incredibly important. If we can work that out with Flock. The other thing is just a codification of the things we're already doing. So right now, we do not use this technology for biometrics and facial recognition. I'd like to codify that so that as technology advances, we as a city council or future city council can also make that decision.
So that's an item you want to put on the future agenda?
No, I'd like that to be part of the ordinance.
Wait a minute. We're talking about a contract right now.
Well, we're talking about an ordinance that that involves technology that has that as an option.
I get that, Vice Mayor Claffey, but right now we're talking about either adopting this contract or not. And what you're talking about is changing codes, perhaps that would deal with how we allow our police chief to use this technology, if I understand correctly.
All right.
So that can be done at a future meeting.
There's a difference between what we do legally correct and then what this contract is. So there's one thing the contract holds, then there's another thing what we say we want to allow. Can we restrict who gets into this program? That was one of the things I wanted to know. Can we restrict who gets into the program?
The only
Or do
people we
have
give
to?
access to get into it.
Huh?
Yes, if we don't give them, our employees, if we don't give them access, they can't see the data. Other agencies, no, if the
they're with
Sacramento
the
Police
plot-
Department, if they authorize someone to access the data, they could do a search of a license plate.
Because of the flock has already authorized them to be into all of that. Okay.
No, and we could delete every agency and allow no one to see our data. I mean, then we probably won't have access to many people's data ourselves, which will be a hindrance to us.
Right.
How much is this actually occurring on a monthly basis or weekly basis?
How many agencies access our?
Other people, I don't.
You don't know that?
Well, I could find out, but I don't have the answer for you right now. I mean, I just log in and can look and get that data, but I don't have the answer for you now. It's.
When you do the audit, does it seem like it's a lot? I mean, you've done audits before. I mean,
Other agencies don't search it near as much as we search it.
It just takes one time for someone to shoot a kid in the park, jump in their truck, drive to Santa Rosa, and us wish that we could be sharing this data.
And that's the reason for this.
That's what we have to weigh. And I think it's, personally, I think the risks that you're talking about, and I see that there are risks, don't measure up to risks such as what City Manager Flora just mentioned. It's a tool that we need, and quite honestly, I think we should pass this resolution and move on and approve this contract.
Just one last comment. I respect your knowledge about this, because I don't.
Yeah.
And so I'm intently listening to what you have to say about it. But it's obvious that AI is going to change things tremendously of how data is being used. I mean, I don't know if you ever used, GP Chat?
Yeah.
And just ask a couple of questions. It's amazing what it can do already, so, and that's just a, thing that you can download on your PC, so it scares me, the amount of data that is collected and how it's, could be used the federal government is trying to deal with this issue, so it's kind of scary to me too, but I'm not sure if we can regulate it at this level. And we do have to, weight the concerns that Alan suggested and you suggested from other scenarios. So I'm at a little loss of what I think about this at this point. In the meantime, I do want to make sure that our police department has the tools to to do their job as best as they can. And if I look at some of the other, you hear some of the news that some of the larger police departments don't even have this kind of stuff. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of trying to figure out what to think about it.
Thank you. Last comment.
So this is one, I really do trust that our chief of police will keep an eye on things. I think it's important for us to have this because I know that we have just recently cut somebody who hit somebody, we had a double, hit and run. And if it wasn't for the cameras, they would not have been able to find these people. And that, to me, is very detrimental, too. So we have life-concerning things, and we have things that are. But we all know that we carry our phone around in the government, and anything you say is going to, next thing you know, it's going to pop up on your screen. So we know that the technology's out there. We're being tracked all the time. I am always concerned about that, too. But I think, to me, just from just recent things that have happened, life over, something. I think if the chief is doing the audit like he should be on a regular basis, every month, then I trust that if he sees something is not kosher, that he would want to stop it. That's why I do believe that in the contract, I would like that if there is a breach, that we feel there's been a breach, that we have the right to terminate the contract. I think that should be in there. I do agree with that.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to authorize the chief of police to enter into a 5-year contract with Flock Safety for the purchase of ALPR cameras and adopt resolution number 2023-48, waiving the competitive formal bidding process.
Do I have a second?
I'll second with the amendment of adding the termination if breached.
Yes, well, we can't do that yet. If we'll see if there's a second to his motion. If there isn't, then you can make your amended motion with that. So, sorry, just the parliamentary procedure on that.
All right,
I can second.
I'll amend, okay, seconded it.
So now, if you'd like, Councilmember Overton, you can make an amended motion and see if you get a second to that, and your amended motion would be voted on before this original motion.
Okay, so I'd like to make the amended motion to add that we add on that we have the right to terminate if we have a breach in our system.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, so we'll vote on that one.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. All in favor of the second
Aye.
amended motion?
Aye.
Nay?
Nay.
3-2.
I think our
Motion
city
passes.
clerk just wanted to confirm did you get the votes?
I have Councilmember Slotin, Councilmember Overton, and Vice Mayor Claffey voting in favor of the amended motion to add the termination clause. And I have Councilmember Kramer and Mayor Purdock against, if that is correct.
That's correct.
And that motion passes.
Do we need to have a discussion about what happens if Flock won't accept that contract language?
I think that's probably advisable, but if they're listening and they know how you're sort of hurting your negotiating position, but
Are they on Zoom?
Not that I'm aware of, I don't know. Presumably they will accept the
if they
change.
do not, you may need to call for a special meeting, unless you want to get some direction. I think what the city manager is indicating is if Flock doesn't agree, do you want to come back for a special meeting before December 31st? Or do you want to give us authority
Negotiated.
to take that language out? Again, if they're listening, they're going to know what your position is, but perhaps they're not.
Call a special meeting.
I agree.
All right, see you on Christmas.
When are you going to be meeting with Flock?
How soon do you think you can get an answer back, Chief?
Call him after this meeting.
Good.
Very They're
Hopefully not on the
located.
East Coast.
They are, they're someplace else. They're in Atlanta, I think.
Thank you, Chief.
They're in Atlanta.
Is there any other action at this point?
Yeah, we have.
All right, very good. Moving on to item 15, appointment of the 2024 mayor and vice mayor.
I
Have
want.
any discussion?
I'm ready to make a motion. I move that we appoint Vice Mayor David Claffey to mayor, starting January or whenever for the next term.
I second that.
I'll third it. All in favor?
You do need to provide
Yeah,
public input.
Yeah.
I was trying to get that first, but the bull over here just. Would anyone like to
You always put the motion on the floor first anyway.
offer public comment on the appointment of our new mayor for the 2024 year? Please come forward.
Hi, Margaret Garcia, City of Clearlake. I just would love to see you as mayor. I think you have great insight, very thoughtful, and I would love to see you as mayor.
Anyone else? Seeing none, anyone on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Do I have to restate my motion?
No. And would you like an electronic vote? I don't know how we do that on this item.
We just do a voice vote.
Just voice vote.
Just a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any? Passes unanimously.
Thank you all. Thank you for your trust. Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
I'm glad I didn't offend you all enough on the last item, that you've
Obviously
changed your
not.
That wouldn't happen.
No, that wouldn't.
Everybody's
wouldn't
opinion
happen.
counts.
Mr. Current Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to nominate Councilwoman Joyce Overton as vice mayor.
I'll second that.
I'll third that one. Any comment from the public on this nomination? Please come forward. Anyone on Zoom?
There are no hands raised on the Zoom, Mr. Mayor.
Very well. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any? Passes by unanimous decision.
Congratulations.
Here you are, sir. Yeah, I know. I got till the end of the year.
All right.
All right.
City
There
manager.
being no other business, Mr. City Manager, do you have a report?
I do, although City Attorney Jones just looked at my notes and told me I needed to cut it down a little bit, so.
Come on, it's our last meeting.
I'll be pretty brief here, just a few things. The direct tax sale that we submitted to the county before, we're expecting that to conclude in January. So the final notices went out. Folks have until, I think, January 9th to one final opportunity to redeem the properties, and then we'll send the county a check and they will transfer the property in our name. As you know, the 18th Avenue lawsuit filed by the Khoi Nation, we don't have a written ruling yet, but the judge, in about a 2.5-hour oral ruling on November 20th, came down on the side of the city on that. So that's exciting for us that, where we thought we were the whole time, the facts being on our side, we're supported by the court. I'm meeting tomorrow with the fire department. They are looking at increasing their impact fees on development. I don't know what that looks like yet, but I'll be finding that out. That actually does have to be approved by the city council. So whatever they're proposing, we will be bringing it back at some point after the first of the year. Yesterday, I attended an evacuation shelter exercise done by the county down at Twin Pine Casino. They were hoping to actually do it at the senior center. but because of the renovations, decided to have it down there. So I was an evaluator for that. So I think that was helpful. The Danco subdivision project, the 29 acres off Old Highway 53, also has been slowed down related to tribal discussions with the COI, but that is moving to the Planning Commission on December 18th of this month for consideration. So looking forward to hopefully getting that project wrapped up and some houses being built. I kind of mentioned this earlier, but January 2nd is when we're planning on moving back to City Hall, so January 3rd would be our first day open again back here. There's going to be a couple of things that aren't quite complete, but things are really wrapping up nicely at this point. And then I think I sent you all the letter of it's maybe been a month ago, but you're aware that the demand letter that we sent to the California Department of Public Health related to syringe exchanges in the city, along with the city of Lakeport, we did get a letter back from them saying that they agreed to our request to not allow the operator to do syringe exchange in either of the cities for the period of their agreement, which I think was 3 years. So, and then this is the lengthy part of my notes I haven't gotten into, but I was invited to the Clearlake Hitch Summit that happened last week at Robinson Rancheria. And so this is really coordinated by the tribes, and state agencies came to, talk about concerns, present things that have happened. There was a summit a year ago. That was the first one. I did not participate in that, but it's quite shocking or astonishing the number of state resources that have been dedicated to dealing with this issue. Director of California Department of Fish and Wildlife was there. Probably between the State Water Board and Fish and Wildlife, I would guess there was at least 30 staff people that attended that summit, as well as various other state and federal agencies. So a lot of resources being put into this. Probably, since it's a little later, maybe I won't go into it now, but there was some very interesting data presented. And I guess maybe I'll just share one of the most interesting things. So there's a couple of agencies that track not only hitch population in the lake, but other species of fish as well, and have for a number of years. And it's no surprise to anyone that last year the hitch population was extremely low. Something that I hadn't heard before, at least, was the other species of fish population are also all in decline in the lake. This year, the hitch count saw an amazing resurgence, which was back to at least or equal to highs over recent history, at least. And they haven't been able to quite understand how that could happen so quickly, because there were very few juveniles. Now there's actually a lot of adult hitch in the lake. And the hypothesis that at least some folks are working from is that the high water levels this year actually flushed existing hitch populations from Blue Lakes and Tule Lake into Clear Lake, and that's what increased the population in such a short period of time. So they're looking at proving that hypothesis, but quite interesting. So with that, that's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Flora. Councilmember Overton.
That's funny, because this stormwater board meeting, they showed us where there was patches and the hitches were so much more, and that was way earlier this year. So, I think they've just missed some things. I think the water level has a lot to do with it. I don't think they came from Blue Lakes, so I want to see them prove that one. So I don't really have a lot to report. I just want to say Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you guys for giving me the honor to do my last year as vice mayor. I will do you guys proud, I hope, and I hope that Mayor Claffey and I can work together and get some projects going. I am looking into a project, we're just started on it, that I hope you guys will see fit to with the area there at the community center to do what they call a ninja court. I got a grant for $40,000 towards it. They range from 130 to, I don't know, well, 200 and something. It just depends on what course we have. I have given a copy to our city manager, Alan. If you guys like to look at it, I brought them tonight, or I can email them over to you if you'd like to see them. I just kind of like to, I think this would be really good, and those ninja courses are great for the community, but they're also really good for our police department to train on too. So I think that with that area, I think becoming more of an exercise, I think it would benefit the whole community over on that side. It's kind of giving them a park. We can put benches there and do other things outside of this. But I'd like to have you guys' opinion on it, and let me know what you think. So other than that, I wish everybody a Merry Christmas if we don't come back. So, and everybody in the community, I hope you guys all have a happy holidays. We will be doing Christmas dinner as I normally do every year for the past 20-some years on Christmas Day, but this year it will be at the Masonic Lodge because we are renovating our community center. So we will be, we got permission from them to go ahead and do it on Christmas Day there. So we will be doing a Christmas dinner at the Masonic Lodge on Christmas Day. So. And I hope anybody that's available, come by and enjoy.
Thank you.
It's open to everybody. No age, no limit, no families, everything.
Councilmember Kramer.
Meetings were, well, we had a Lake Links meeting the other day in which Councilwoman Overton and I attended. Nothing real, I approved our budget, nothing really exciting other than that. I also attended a clerk meeting. Again, they're talking about different projects that clerk is taking on, which is really kind of amazing, the success that they've had in getting grants, both from CAL FIRE and other sources, and we're, I think, really having an impact in fuel reduction in the county all around. So I'm really kind of happy with that process. We had our Lower Lake Holidays Street Fair last weekend, last Sunday, which went very well. And I just wanted to reach out. I wanted to thank both our police department for the officers that you let us use to walk the streets. I think two of them must have put about 35 miles on walking back and forth on Main Street. I got tired watching them. And Mrs. Labia, Public Works, I really appreciate the use of the sign and the barricades. They made things really easy as keeping traffic under control. So I appreciate that, and I want to thank you. And that's about all I have. Well, actually, one more. This Saturday, the Clear Lake Rotary has our annual Christmas breakfast, dinner, whatever you want to call it.
Luncheon.
That we put on, serve about 1,000 meals, plus I think 140, you said?
No, I think this year's going to be a little less.
110 or 12 Meals on Wheels, give out warm clothing. It's a great event. It's something we've been doing for a long time. That's not happening?
Dr. Don.
What else isn't happening?
They didn't do it. They didn't tell me they weren't going to do it.
Okay. Well, we are still putting on the meals, and that's a big deal. It's over 1,000 meals that the Clear Lake Rotary provides to our citizens. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilmember Slutin?
I really don't have any report. I just want to amplify what Councilman Kramer said. The Rotary Club, over 1,000 meals, and Dr. Donda will do their checking for flus and flu shots and all those kind of things. Health check stuff, and so it's, by the way, it's his 30th year that the Rotary Club has done this. So.
And it's at the Burns Valley School.
Burns Valley School, yeah. That's it.
Vice Mayor?
Well, you both stole my thunder, but yes, 10 o'clock Burns Valley. Otherwise, just thank you for your trust. As part of my platform, I plan to open a travel center. I plan to, no. I have some big shoes to fill. Thank you, Mayor Purdock, for everything, and we'll do some great things next year.
I look forward to it.
Have one do-over.
Go ahead.
I really appreciate that finally Adventist help
Yes.
Yeah.
got it done, or that we were patient
I
enough.
shouldn't have let you have a do-over. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, took your one last one.
No. Anyway,
It's all right.
everybody knows that I've been promoting this for a long time, and to see it finally come to the first step of fruition is extremely excited. Now we have more work to do on it. We have to start really focusing on the shopping center part, so hopefully I'll be able to participate in that process.
So, thank you, Councilmember Slutin. Yes, we had a wonderful meeting here earlier today. It was a special meeting at 11 o'clock, where we met with representatives for Adventist Health Clearlake and Adventist Health Corporation. And we've entered into an MOA with them, or an MOU with them. Oh, sorry, LOI, sorry. Purchase and sale, thank you, Mr. Manager. Anyway, and we're going to have an anchor on the old airport, which is a health center, and we're going to start developing the old airport property and finally making it something that is going to be a wonder to see for the city of Clearlake, and very proud that it happened. And I got to sign the contract. It was very good. So thank you for that. I have no other meetings to report. I just want to thank each of you. I've had a very good year. I'm humbled by the experience, and I hope I represented each of you well. So thank you very much for the opportunity. And that concludes this. Any future agenda items coming up for January 2024? All right. With that, we're going to retire to closed session. Thank you all for coming and being a part of our meeting. Thank you to the Elam tribe. We're so grateful to be in partnership with you and moving forward. We're adjourned. We'll reconvene in 5 minutes for closed session.
I don't know.
Alan, are the bathrooms open yet?
No.
No? No?
Merry Christmas.